Story 1. My 32M wife's 30F friend cheated on her fiancé at her bachelorette party. My wife doesn't think it's that big of a deal. Help? A few weeks ago, my wife went away to Miami for one of her best friend's bachelorette party. After she got back, I overheard a conversation between my wife and another one of her friends that was also at the bachelorette party. Long story short, the bride-to-be cheated on her fiancé while she was there. She met a guy at a club, took him back to her hotel room, and they had sex. I was shocked. To me, this was a big deal. The wedding is in a few weeks, but my wife didn't think it was that big of a deal. She said she shouldn't have done it, but it was just sex with a guy she'd never see again. Just one last fling before her friend settled down. Nothing to call off a wedding for. I could not believe what I was hearing, and my thoughts immediately turned to my wife's own bachelorette party. She went to Vegas for the weekend with the same group. If she didn't think it was a big deal, did she hook up with someone while she was there? She swore on the life of our daughter that she didn't. She admitted to dancing and flirting, but nothing more. This led to a larger conversation on her thoughts on emotionless sex. Another shocker was that she admitted that if I was the type of guy that would be okay with her sleeping with other guys, that she would probably do it. She knows I wouldn't be okay with it, so she has never brought it up. She again said that sex isn't love, and that she has always been able to sleep with men and not get attached. Her friend thinks the same way. Now, I'm not thinking about divorce, but I feel like my entire world has been turned upside down. What does everyone think? Edit. I wanted to add one more thing that gives a little more insight into her thinking. She mentioned that if I had an affair that was purely physical, she would be able to forgive me. But if it was emotional, then it would be over. I'm the complete opposite. If my wife had an emotional affair, I'd see this as something I could fix. I don't know if that is just a guy thing or not. Top comments. Terror Sabbath. One last fling. They'd be asking, were there others? Druid mind. If it's no big deal, why hide it from her future husband? The argument falls apart right there. Update December 4th, 2024, 6 days later. I wanted to provide an update on my post from a few days ago. TLDR. My wife's friend cheated on her fiancé during her bachelorette, and my wife didn't think it was that big of a deal. Anyway, many of you told me tell the fiancé. I debated it, but another one of my wife's friends, call her Claire, who was also at the bachelorette weekend, beat me to it. The whole scene was quite dramatic from what I heard. My wife and Claire were over the house of the friend who cheated, call her Wendy. When the fiancé came into the room, Claire said to Wendy that she needs to tell him now, or she will. The fiancé pretty much knew what she meant and basically broke down. There was a lot of screaming and crying. The fiancé took it really hard, and as of now, the wedding is off. My wife looked shaken when she came home. She ended up apologizing for making light of the situation given how much pain it caused the fiancé. I told her no **T, and she admitted that her views on this were obviously much different than most people. She gave me a hug and said she would never be able to live with herself if she hurt me like that. As for what happened on her bachelorette, Claire was present for my wife's bachelorette as well. Claire and I have also been friends for years. I met my wife through her, actually. So it stands to reason that she would have definitely told me if my wife slept with another guy during her bachelorette. So I suppose I'm satisfied for now. Top comments. Buddy Inevitable 638. Your wife sounds somewhat low empathy, but I suppose if this concrete event of seeing others' significant distress and pain over infidelity taught her some empathy, compassion, that is a good thing. I'd store this memory in your mind, though, as she doesn't have a solid moral compass clearly. Previous cap 578. So your wife had to have a front row seat and experience firsthand the devastating effects of cheating in order for her to finally understand why cheating is wrong, horrible, and cruel? That's still hella Seuss. I would never look at my wife the same way again, but if you guys are able to work past it, then all the more power to you. Story 2. Ada for threatening to sue my parents for taking out student loans in my name? I graduated college 4 years ago, and I rarely speak to my mother or father. Maybe 2, 3 times a year, and even then it's only for a few minutes. They refused to let me play sports in high school or have a social life, and they've basically cut me out of their lives since I and about 75 other people got a city drinking ticket 7 years ago in college. Since I live about 800 miles away, I only go back to my hometown once a year either for Thanksgiving or Christmas. Most years I stay with a friend or at a hotel. Last year I stayed with my parents. No way in hell am I going back for either this year. Just about 5 months before I graduated college, my parents bought a boat. I know they got a good deal on it, and they have used it a lot. They took it out of the water for the season in early October. I've literally never seen it in person, just pictures from Facebook. Last week I had texted my father, first contact since March, and let him know I would be able to make it back for Christmas. About a minute later he called, and over the course of 5 minutes explained how he and my mother decided since their last child was about through college, they would buy a boat. The only problem was they didn't have the $20, 000 to buy it. What was their solution? Take out a student loan in my name, of course. My mailing address was always their house through college, so I was none the wiser. Why was my dad telling me about it now, 4 years after the fact? Because they can't pay it back. They actually never paid any of it back. They kept putting it in forbearance, but that ran out early this year. Fast forward 7 or 8 missed payments later, and my dad tells me the only reason he's telling me now is because he doesn't want me to bring it up at Christmas, and he knows it's going to default in a month or two. His exact words were, "If you're going to make a big deal about this, it's best if you don't come home this year." He also said it's about $25,000 is what I would need to pay it off. I hung up and just sat in shock for a couple of minutes. I called my brother yesterday and told him what was happening and that I think I'm going to sue them for whatever it takes to pay off the loan. I still don't know what that amount is yet. I should probably find out by next week. I'm cool with my brother and he's cool with my parents, and I'm sure he probably talked to them because this morning I get a text from my mom just saying, "Do not sue us." I texted her back saying she would need to immediately pay off the entire loan and show me proof. She texts back that I need to grow up. Obviously, I'm not even going to respond to that. The boat is probably worth half of what they paid for it by now, and with the hours they've put on it. I don't know if they have the money or not to pay up immediately if I sue them, but I figure I can at least garnish their wages. My other brother called and asked me to hold off a few months before doing anything, that it was shitty of them to do that, but to give them a chance to start paying if off. Verdict, not the asshole. Update, rare did October 25th, 2019, 1 year later. This update has a happy ending of sorts. Basically, what happened is that I did end up having to make a police report about what happened. My parents weren't arrested, but they were charged with deceptive practice. As part of a negotiated deal, they agreed to become responsible for the debt, and they received 12 months of court supervision. The student loan company removed the loans from my name, then made it clear they planned on suing my parents and myself. My parents for obvious reasons, and myself because I benefited from the crime, my degree. My parents and I spoke to a lawyer who agreed that they probably could come after me for at least some of the debt. Our lawyer and their in-house counsel came up with a deal that basically said if I paid half myself, they'd forever give up their right to sue me or try to collect the other half from me. I wasn't crazy about the deal, but it's cheaper than going to court where I'd likely be found to be jointly liable with my parents for the full $25,000 and attorney fees. I paid my part of it 3 months ago, and it's like I've never had student loans. Nothing on my record at all regarding it. My parents sold the boat for a loss and are making payments on the remainder of the balance. They've apologized to me pretty profusely about it, and I do think they are remorseful. As a cherry on top, my brother told me they opened a credit card in his name around the same time they took out the student loans. He only found out after going to purchase a house, and the loan officer asked him about it. That was paid off in full before he found out about it, though. I speak to my parents maybe once a month now, more than in the past, and our relationship is still fairly cool, but not nearly as bad as what it was. Also, I definitely did not go to Christmas last year. I think I will be going this year, though. Edit regarding why I may have been found jointly liable. My parents paid 50% of my rent my senior year of college. I also, unhappily while interviewing, lived with them for half a year after school. They asked for half and wiped it off of my credit forever. It's more than 50% of rent, but I was done with it. I have a decently paying job now and wanted to move on. I did a crappy job of wording it, but they sold the boat for $9,000, paid to the lender. I paid $8,000, a little more than what half of my rent was, and they are making payments on their $8,000. Apologies for not being more clear. Edit 2. All right, maybe I should have gotten a differently lawyer. I just wanted it to go away with no lawsuit. Looking like that was short-sighted. Overall, I'm okay with it. I never paid my parents back for the 50% rent in college. They were just going to let it be. I feel like I've made up for that now. Really good advice in this comment if you're worried about it happening to you. Just don't get a shitty lawyer. Relevant comment. Is it will I be? After all of this, how is your credit score? OP. Pretty good. No judgment, no collections. The student loan account is gone, like I never had it. Missy, 789987. I'm confused. I thought you had finished your degree. How did you benefit from your parents taking out a student loan in your name if you were no longer in college, uni, and you never received a cent? OP. They paid half of my rent my last year in school, and I lived with them for 6 months after graduating. It was an awkward 6 months, and I was happy as hell to be out of there. Bruh. 31,198. You're awesome for giving an update. 2. Where's the juicy stuff? Did they apologize? You're thinking of going for Christmas this year. Are you just super forgiving or what? I'd be beyond pissed, and maybe I'm just petty, but I don't think I'd forgive something so selfish and rude. Your mom telling you to grow up for being mad about them basically stealing 25000 from you and lying about it? That's blood-boiling territory, LOL. OP. They did apologize, and I think they really did realize how it could have really fucked up my life. I think I worded the OP badly. They sold the boat for $9,000. I paid $8,000, and they are making payments on the other $8,000. Story 3. Aida for refusing to let my roommate's boyfriend live with us after he tested me. I, 19F, live with my roommate, let's call her Ashley, 20F, in a small 2-bedroom apartment. We've been friends since high school and decided to split rent when we both started college. Things were fine at first, but then she started dating Jake, 22M. At first he was over just a couple of nights a week, which I didn't mind. But over the past few months he's basically moved in, eating our food, using our stuff, and not contributing a single dime to rent or bills. I finally had enough and told Ashley that Jake either needed to start paying his share or stop practically living here. She apologized and said she'd talk to him. I thought that was the end of it. Fast forward to last week. I was getting ready to head out to a late-night study group when Jake cornered me in the kitchen. He told me he wanted to test me to see if I'd be a good person to live with full-time. I was confused and asked what he meant. He said that if I wanted him to pay rent, I had to prove I was roommate material by showing I could handle sharing the space with someone like him. He then gave me a list of rules he'd want me to follow if he officially moved in. Things like doing my share of the cooking, even though I already make my own meals, not bringing any guys over. I'm single, but why is that even relevant? And being respectful of his gaming time by keeping the Wi-Fi free during his streams. I laughed in his face and told him there was no way he was moving in. He got pissed and told Ashley I was being unreasonable. She confronted me and said Jake was just testing the waters and that I should have been more open to the idea. She accused me of being jealous because I'm single and suggested I was trying to sabotage their relationship. Now she's saying if I can't be supportive, then maybe she should get a new roommate, one who respects her relationship. I think this is completely insane, but Ashley and a couple of her friends are siding with Jake. They're calling me selfish and controlling. Ada for refusing to let him move in after his ridiculous test. Ada has no consensus bot. OP received the majority of NTAs with few others. Relevant comment. Commenter 1. NTA. Go to your landlord and explain the situation if Jake continues to live there. He will be forced to pay rent or leave. Also, remove your name from any utilities. If you pay for the Wi-Fi, change the password and they can buy their own Wi-Fi. OP. Will it not risk the whole friendship if I already changed the password? I feel like I would harm them doing that. Edit. I start to understand now how much they have gaslighted me. Commenter 2. They're nothing to risk. She's not a friend if she's all good allowing her BF to push you around in your own place. P. I have to admit my home doesn't feel like a safe place anymore. Not even my own room. OOP is the one who signed the lease with Ashley, not Jake. Document everything to show to the landlord. OP. Thank you for the advice. I will start to document everything from now on. Any other advice I should do as well? Commenter 3. So he thinks he can come in as third wheel and start making demands and stupid rules? Sounds like he's not the roommate material. Tell Ashley that if he's paying 1/3, that doesn't mean he gets priority. How dare he make demands when he's an equal partner in expenses? Especially for gaming, for crying out loud. OOP, yeah, he gets really emotional when it comes to his gaming time. Update, November 30th, 2024, 2 days later. Hi everyone. It's been a wild ride since my original post, and I wanted to give an update because a lot has happened. First off, I want to thank everyone who commented. It helped me see things in a completely new light. Honestly, I didn't even realize how much I was being gaslighted by Jake and Ashley until I read some of your insights. I thought they were my friends, but now I see how manipulative and toxic their behavior really is. Maybe I just hated the thought of not having any friends, but who needs enemies with these kind of friends? In GL, it still breaks my heart to realize this, and I cried a lot. But that doesn't change anything. Haha, I don't know why I'm saying this, it's just been a really emotional days, please forgive my rant. Since our confrontation, Jake has gone full victim mode. He's been telling mutual friends that I'm trying to ruin his life and kick him out of his girlfriend's apartment. Let me remind you, this man doesn't pay rent or contribute to any bills, so calling it his girlfriend's apartment is already laughable. He's been painting me as some controlling, jealous monster who can't handle his straightforward personality. Meanwhile, Ashley is eating it up and defending him, saying I'm overreacting and causing unnecessary drama. What's worse is that I've started noticing just how much control Jake has over Ashley. She's completely bought into his narrative and is now acting like I'm the enemy. For example, she told me last night that my attitude is making it hard for them to feel comfortable in their own home, their home. This apartment is 50% mine, but suddenly, I'm being treated like an unwelcome guest. I've decided I've had enough. I've already documented everything. His constant presence, his freeloading, and now his smear campaign. I'm reaching out to my landlord this week. Most leases have clauses about long-term guests, and Jake has definitely overstayed his. As for Ashley, I don't know if there's any saving our friendship. I'm heartbroken because I thought she cared about me, but now I realize she's supporting Jake's abusive behavior. Thank you to everyone who opened my eyes to what was really happening. I'll post another update once I've spoken to my landlord and taken further action. For now, I'm just trying to reclaim my space and my peace of mind. Also, I really want to thank you for just caring and being there. This is what I needed to hear, and you all were honest and fair with me. I'm very grateful for the support I got that I couldn't get anywhere else. So thank you. Relevant comment. Commenter 1. Good for you. Don't take any more crap from them. OOP. I won't. Thank you. OOP needs to stand up for herself and get her living space back. OP. I realized the night after I posted that I didn't feel safe anymore without a locked door. That was my sign I really needed to listen to the advice. Commenter 2. Good luck. Unfortunately, Jake seems like a good manipulator, so he might have gotten Ashley on board with his narrative. Don't mean she is without guilt. Just mean she might have started as a friend, but even if she isn't that now. I'd look for your own apartment. As long as they are in your life, your home will unfortunately not be a safe zone. Good luck with everything. P. Yes, I think she got blinded by love. I am in no place or mood to judge her. I will probably move out and see if my friendship to her can remain. I don't plan to see Jake anymore. Final update, December 9th, 2024. Hi, everyone. I wanted to come back with a final update now that everything has been resolved. It's been a whirlwind, but I can finally say that I'm in a much better place, and I'm so grateful to everyone who supported me along the way. After my last update, I contacted the landlord and explained the situation. Turns out, Jake had violated the guest policy in our lease by staying over so often. The landlord was understanding and firm. Jake couldn't stay overnight anymore, and if Ashley wanted to add him to the lease, we'd need to renegotiate everything, including his share of the rent and utilities. When I shared this with Ashley, she was furious at first. She accused me of trying to sabotage her relationship and even said I was acting petty. But as the reality of the situation set in, something shifted. I think for the first time, she saw how much Jake's presence had disrupted our lives, and how much it had hurt me. To my surprise, Ashley apologized. She admitted that she had been blinded by her feelings for Jake and hadn't considered how unfair her actions were. She said she needed to reevaluate things with him and asked for some space to think. Over the next week, Jake stopped coming over. Ashley and I had a long, heartfelt conversation, and for the first time in weeks, it felt like I was talking to my old friend again. She admitted that Jake's controlling behavior wasn't sitting right with her anymore, and that she felt like she'd been losing herself trying to please him. And here's the best part. Ashley broke up with Jake. She realized he was manipulative and toxic, not just to me but to her as well. She thanked me for standing my ground and helping her see the situation clearly. We're still working on rebuilding our friendship, but things feel so much lighter now that he's out of the picture. The apartment is peaceful again, and I've even started redecorating to make the space feel more like home. Ashley and I are taking things one day at a time, but we've both agreed to prioritize communication and respect moving forward. I know not every story ends this way, but I'm so grateful mine did. Thank you to everyone who encouraged me to stand up for myself. It made all the difference. Without you, I would be living in hell now. P.S. I kept the lock, though. Top comments. Commenter. It's wonderful that your friendship with Ashley has been salvaged and that you're both committed to building a healthier and more respectful living environment. Enjoy your peaceful apartment and redecorated space. Story 4. My mom asked me to watch my siblings for a week. It's been 9 weeks. Original post, February 21st, 2024. OOP, 19F, finds herself watching her younger siblings, 16F, 13F, 12M, 9F, and 7F, after her mum went out before Christmas. Then she texted she would be gone for a week. It has been 9 weeks since then, and OOP only heard from her mum 3 times and said she wasn't coming back anytime soon. OOP is hanging on to survive as she and her siblings live with their nan who doesn't provide any help. Older siblings have moved out of the house. OOP asked if it was a legal issue for social services to get involved, and with her mum being gone for that long. Update #1, February 29, 2024. OOP spoke with her mum on phone, asking for custody. Mum refused to return home. Next step, OOP spoke with a lawyer regarding younger siblings, and should be able to receive legal guardianship through court. Older brother, 22, said he will move back home to help OOP with their siblings on one condition: their mum does not come back home. Brother is no contact with their mum. OOP gets things in order and rhythm with younger siblings as they need to keep their lives balanced at home and schools. Priorly, things were in chaos, and nothing has been getting done. OOP explained her father's whereabouts and why he wasn't stepping up. He left the family 5 years prior because older siblings confirmed he was abusing them. OOP mentions her father has done his disappearing and returning acts many times. This time, no one knows where he is at the moment after walking out. Update #2, March 14, 2024. OOP updated on the family situation after receiving Boru's support. After reviewing options available from Redditors, she goes forward with kinship as it was better for the family financially than legal guardianship. OOP's older brother, 22, returned home and works remotely. OOP's older sister has gotten in contact and informed she will send some money to help. Other oldest sister is working but will try to help on her weeks off but can't guarantee until things are stable. OOP shared updates on each sibling with acceptance and struggles to the new reality and routines with older brother in charge. He is helping OOP get the handle of their new lives with healthy routines. Youngest sibling is taking the changes harder. Middle siblings are adjusting okay. Other siblings are doing fine with brother being there. Moving forward, OOP focuses on helping siblings adjust to new changes. Update #3, April 4th, 2024. OOP and older brother are approved for kinship on younger siblings. Mom hasn't contacted OOP except to complain about her missing their dad. That was the main point for Mom to ruin everyone's moods, especially OOP's. Siblings Nan is still not helping the family and left to stay with their aunt, giving updates on each sibling, having struggles with siblings who are not adjusting well to new changes from older siblings. 7-year-old sister takes this the hardest. OOP is trying to help youngest sibling, especially with breakdowns because they have no parents now. Youngest considers OOP and older brother as her parents after feeling more stable with life changes. Brother is trying to find best ways to keep his young siblings in check. He had past childhood trauma scars from their father's harsh punishments. OOP is getting younger siblings to doctors to make sure they are healthy. Making great food choices for all was the goal, so youngest siblings can catch up with their peers on health. Therapy and other appointments are added to the list, so everyone's mental health can get back in good positions. Siblings are blessed to have oldest brother and OOP around with support and love. Feeling like shit. Parenting is kind of hell-arin. April 14th, 2024. OOP has own struggles on parenting 5 younger siblings, but having her older brother there helps so much. OOP was not happy with her 16-year-old sister for videoing their 7-year-old sister having a breakdown regarding parents' abandonment. Taking away 16-year-old's phone, OOP discovers she has been messaging their mom without her knowledge. 16F was begging their mom to come home to no response. OOP is upset because her sister hid it from her. Mom tells 16 years old she had better things to do than raising the children altogether. OP's older sister, Sister-2, calls in to check with her and the siblings to make sure things are okay and sending money. Still angry at Mom for replacing her with the youngest sister who is now 7, OOP tells her that it's not her fault. OOP's oldest sister, Sister-1, wanted to bring OOP to live with her because she is trying to shield OOP from family problems. OOP tells oldest sister she will be okay. She needs to be there for their younger siblings. OOP and her brother are still working on getting therapy for all involved. Update #4, May 20th, 2024. OOP's older sister, #2, is able to make a visit soon to check in with OOP and their siblings. Sister's relationship with oldest brother, 22, is strained due to past childhood trauma when they and their oldest sister, #1, were younger. OOP understood why her 3 older siblings moved out at 18 due to the family problems and mental health. OOP and her brother are looking into moving to a different city to have a fresh start with younger siblings. Brother is working remotely, and his job is working on helping him moving his family away. It has been in the plans for a while, as brother feels it would do the siblings good to have a clean slate. Financial levels are getting better for the siblings because OOP and brother are able to budget and save some. Updates on each sibling as things are improving, but they are still dealing with problems. Therapy has started for a couple siblings while others are still resenting. Overall, all siblings are starting to accept the new reality. Oldest sister, #1, is still having trouble on dealing with the family trauma, still wants to move OOP with her. She refused to see younger siblings due to past childhood trauma. OOP wants to break the ice and have oldest sister meet with their youngest sister to make sure she, #1, knows who her sister is. Update #5, May 29th, 2024. OOP's second oldest sister has arrived for family visit with OOP and siblings. Sister was nervous about seeing younger siblings. Siblings have been hanging out and enjoying older sister's company. Each sibling had their opinion when seeing their sister for the first time, but all have warmed up to her. OOP and older sister discussed issues about their father. Sister had issues against dad and doing well for herself. She confirmed with OOP that oldest sister, #1, had guilt for moving out. OOP was sad but acknowledged that oldest sister still wanted her to move in with her. OOP's mom might have located her dad. She suspected her mom has been messaging her for pictures of 12-year-old brother to prove the boy looks like dad. From Sister-2, OOP learned their dad might have more kids. They might be older or closer to 3 oldest siblings' ages, sisters #1 and 2 Matt. Nothing else has been shared on possible oldest siblings, older than sister #1. OOP is now 20 and has mixed feelings about 7F. She is working on getting used to be called Mummy, especially from 7F. 9F is worried about calling OOP her mummy too because it was uncomfortable. OOP has given the comfort to 9F that she can call OOP if she wants to. On to Matt, OOP is concerned about 7F calling him Dad because 7F wants a father figure. It might or might not trigger other siblings who are not happy with absent father. Lots of trials and errors on figuring life changes. With Matt in charge, it helps OOP and him with figuring what works and what doesn't. OOP received concerns about her 7F sister about the possibility of being autistic. She is cleared with the doctor and therapist. It appears 7F was dealing with anxiety and abandonment issues, but she is improving. Matt is not the same like the parents at all when disciplining. When Matt is upset, he steps away to calm down. He has scars from their dad's beatings when he was younger. Their mom has broken several bones on few siblings. Matt and OOP are breaking the cycles and putting on healthy disciplines for their siblings. Update #6, July 23, 2024. 2 months from last update, each sibling is having their own struggles and shows improvements with life changes. 16F gives OOP teenage problems as usual, likes to argue with OOP on disciplining younger siblings and trying to get away with stuff. 9F has been terrorizing her sister. 7F. OP is working with a therapist regarding sibling issues. She tries to do one-on-one with both 9F and 7F so they can receive undivided attention. 13F and 12M are still the same, pretty easy to deal with. 13F sometimes give OOP an attitude, but being a teenager. Matt is still working on sorting the moving stuff for a fresh start for the family. OOP ends the update with a note that she still hasn't heard from her mum. Her nan is still with her aunt and no help for the family. Oldest sister sends money to help family with finances. Help, is this normal? July 29, 2024. Short post. OOP asked Redditors for help on how to respond to a text message from a mum of her 7-year-old sister's friend. It's for a birthday party that 7F has been invited to. OOP asked if it was okay for her to stay with her sister since she has separation anxiety without making it awkward for everyone else at the party. Redditors gave OOP advice which helped out so much. Day party success, August 13, 2024. Short post. OOP thanked Reddit for advice on her 7-year-old sister's invitation to a friend's birthday party. She spoke with the mom who hosted the party. OOP was able to be with her sister, who enjoyed having fun with her friends, playing, receiving birthday favors, and eating a cupcake. She had another one, September 21st, 2024. OP is back with news regarding her mum who just had another baby daughter. OOP is in shock because she is still angry with her mum for abandoning the children, and then for them to find out about the baby girl after being admitted to the hospital for meningitis. OOP shares her thoughts on the timeline regarding the baby. She believes it was at Christmas time when her mum left her and her siblings. Mum might have found OOP's dad. The timing seems to match the dates because baby sister is preemie. The question remains on whether both parents are together or not. Details surrounding the baby's birth, such as when she was born and where, are vague because OOP had no answers from mum. OOP talked with Matt, older brother, about next steps regarding their baby sister. Giving her up for adoption or bringing her home to the family was the question. OOP doesn't want the baby to go into foster care because she had been in there for some time, and it was horrible. She and Matt are working with caseworker assigned to the new baby to see what to do next. Matt and OOP realize they will be okay financially because they are receiving support from kinship program they are in for the younger siblings. Hopefully by Christmas, the family will be already moved to a new place along with all younger siblings turning a year older. They would be 17F, 14F, 13M, 10F, and 8F. Older sister, #2, will be moving with the siblings too. Short update from OOP on her newest youngest baby sister. The baby is doing well, especially since she is a preemie. OOP and her older brother Matt will have temporary custody of the baby until things have been sorted out, and hopefully for the baby to be home once she is discharged from the hospital. OOP informed that no one knows where her mum is and might have left the city. For everyone offering money, gifts, etc. September 29, 2024. Short and quick update. OP shared details with the Redditors about the possible donations to help her and her family. OOP appreciated the offer, but letting everyone know she and Matt are doing okay. They are receiving support from the kinship program they have on all of their younger siblings, so they are good. OOP and Matt are currently working at their jobs, along with their older sister sending money to help out. Easing the worries for all, OOP said the family is doing well. Update. November 14th, 2024. I never know how to start these LOL hi. Ike people want to know about the baby, so update is she is doing good. We finally got her home. Was a mission FR and the weirdest combo of stress relief when we finally did it. As far as babies go, she is on the easier side, I would say. ATM, she sleeps a ton, and I literally have to wake her up to feed her, and even then she falls asleep halfway through a bottle. My life legit revolves around bottles, cleaning bottles, sterilizing bottles, making bottles, logging how much she drank, tracking how long until the bottles expire, getting confused, which bottle is which, so making them again BC. I'm paranoid I'm going to give her an expired one. It never ends. So funny that there's that whole debate about how bottle feeding is lazy or whatever. And the easy way out BC, I swear. I wish I gave birth to this kid so I could just feed her from my tits and be done with it. Dealing with bottles is so time-consuming. But NGL the baby herself is not a huge deal. It's the addition of the baby to the existing chaos that's kind of fucked, because they all have such different needs already. I thought the 7-13 gap was huge and a pain in the ass to keep them all happy, but now it's let's entertain you all and remember the feeding schedule of an infant. On the upside, I don't have to do many nappy changes. ATMBC, all the kids want to help with the baby all the time. So as soon as I say she needs to be changed, they are all fighting over whose turn it is, which is hilarious, and I hope it lasts. Don't want to talk about my mum TBH except to say the baby is a full sibling, so she is my dad's. I knew she was anyway, but we got DNA done to confirm, as PPL have asked. Had a convo with my mum that I honestly want to delete BC, it's so bad, but I can't, so yeah. Hoping she just gets locked up at TPM, so fucking done. But doesn't seem like any efforts being made to actually find her, they don't give a fuck. Sounds like they will do something if she walks into the station hey, arrest me. Obviously I'm sleep deprived, which is actually more from 7 years old than from the baby, and stressed out. But I was already both of those things before, so TBH, it doesn't feel crazy different right now. I'm just more sleep deprived and more stressed. But okay, what else is new? I just have a tiny baby monkey asleep somewhere near me at all times. The kids are doing well, have had a couple jealousy issues with the younger ones, but mostly they have been really great. Not expecting that to last once the novelty of the baby wears off. 7 years old is up and down on how happy she is about sharing me, but it's not been too bad BC. There are enough PPL that someone can usually hold the baby, so I can focus on 7 or 9 or whoever. I've given up trying to get them to be quiet around the baby BC, they won't, and so far she sleeps through everything anyway. 17 years old, had her birthday, the first B-day we have properly celebrated ever. Can't wait for the others to have their B-days now. Has been literally amazing. I'm who are you? Compared to the total pain in my ass she was before she's been so good. Helps me out a lot even though I tell her she doesn't have to. Won't go into it all here. BC, it's her private business, not for me to share, but she's had some huge breakthroughs with therapy and seems since the baby she has realized our mom is beyond fucked and she's shifted her anger off me and onto her. She's full in protective mode over the baby, which is crazy for me to see BC. She normally couldn't give a shit about the younger kids. Not saying everything is perfect there, we still have some issues going on. But she is so helpful ATM and just thoughtful. IDK, it's nice, I think maybe we will end up being friends. My oldest sister, not so much, she's hell pissed me off, BC. She is so against me taking the baby and has been going on rants about me being an enabler. And how I need more therapy, BC. I can't keep cleaning up our mom's mess. Okay, firstly, guess she hasn't noticed our mom couldn't give a fuck, and if she wants to have 10 more babies, she would whether I took this one or gave her away. I could send the baby to outer space. My mom still wouldn't care and would have another one if she thought it would get my dad's attention. And yeah, I'm not really here for her calling the baby it and acting like I should literally give her away like she's an unwanted toy or whatever. So, I'm not speaking to her ATM. It makes me upset, BC. I love her, but I can't mentally deal with her RN if she's going to be like that. Had to name the baby. So I called her the name I have always wanted to call my own kid, BC. Who knows if I will have one, and I thought it would help me bond with her, BC. I have an emotional attachment to that name like I have loved it forever. But I can't stop calling her the baby BC. She doesn't suit having an actual name. Yet LOL, she's like too little, I guess. I'm trying to ease into calling her name by using a nickname, but I legit sit there in the middle of the night speaking to her and trying to call her name and just end up being like, nope, you are just a baby. Rambling again, so I'll wrap it up. BCIDK who has time to read this shit, but we are all set to move as well. A bit later than planned, but whatever. Matt flew over for a few days to sort out the house, and my older sister is going to go over a week before we move to get everything fully ready, which is defo needed now we have the baby. She's complicated things a lot, but we are figuring it out. It's costing a shit ton to move, but once it's done, I think everything will be so much better. No dealing with our Nan, and we'll be less cramped. And my sister will be living with us, so we will have 3 adults. And the new and improved version of 17 years old, which means it's 3.5 against 2 teenagers, 2 kids, and a newborn, which isn't so awful. Wait for me to take that back, but I hope it will all be okay and feel easier. And our parents won't know where we are, so Matt will finally chill out and stop having daily heart attacks about kids being here, there, and everywhere around town, or me being home alone or whatever. That's all I can be bothered to write, and again, I've written this in 3 different sittings this week, so if it doesn't make sense, PLS, just excuse my tired, rambling brain lol. Relevant? Comment? OOP on if her mum might or might not have more babies. OOP shares her eldest sister, #1's thoughts regarding their siblings and the baby. OP. Yeah, I'm praying this is the last one. Matt said the other day how many kids there would be if my dad had been around since 7 years old. Crazy to think about, but yeah, there would for sure be 3 or 4 more of them. Thanks. She's pretty fucked up ATM, and TBH, it's more that she doesn't want to be around us. Or she wants to be around some of us, but not others. She'd like to see me and 17 years old because she raised us. She has issues with 13 years old BC. My mum actually liked her when she was little. 12 years old triggers her BC. My mum abused him so bad, and I was the one protecting him. BC, my oldest sister, was so over it by then she didn't get so involved, so she has guilt issues. 9 years old, she doesn't really know, and my mum was actually taking care of her as a baby, so big sis didn't have to do anything with her. And 7 years old, she has huge issues with BC. They are called basically the same name, and 7 years old was her replacement. Our parents made a huge deal about this, like legit said you're dead to us and the baby is the new you. My mum was going to name her the exact same name. So yeah, she doesn't want anything to do with the kids. I think the issue about the new baby is she wants me to be free and to go live with her, which obviously isn't happening anyway, but it's super not happening now. I legit am praying she doesn't start talking to 17 years old and trying to get her to go live with her instead. OP on the baby, and if she's the baby going to be fine, and would she be face health issues when growing up? OOP. Far as we know, yes. She's small, obviously premature. My mom always has prem babies. Still in newborn sizes ATM. We'll see if any issues come up, obviously kinda early to know exactly if everything is really okay, and the meningitis was the main concern, but she has fully recovered from that. I asked my mom if she did any drugs or drank a lot, and she basically told me it's none of my business, but then said she should have BC. It would make my life harder if the baby was the R word. So that makes me think she didn't, or at least not much. IDK, but it's something at least. Editor's note, added paragraph breaks for readability. Ranty update, sorry. December 8th, 2024. Little update BC, I'm double nap trapped. Is it still a nap if it's 11 p.m. IDK, but neither of them are out for the night, so it is. By the baby and 7 years old, and I'm angry, so I want to type LOL. Kind of drowning ATM, but literally not even BC of the kids. BC of all the MF adults who want to make my life harder constantly. My oldest sister is so fucking annoying, like literally give it a rest IDC what you think. My Nan is raging about so many things I told her to write a list and drop it off at this point. She was raging about my older sister, #2, being in her house since she ruined your mum's life, which is so delusional I can't even believe she said it. And she's raging that I'm taking her grandkids away from their roots and their family. So stupid, BC, she hasn't even tried to see them in months. And a whole bunch of other shit I'm too pissed off to even write. My aunt and uncle have chosen now, of all times, to start like demanding my Nan comes back to live here. And I'm saying no fucking way, because we are moving this week, and I'm not about to move kids around to make space for her when they have a spare room and can keep her for legit like a few more days until we are gone. My uncle starts threatening me, says I'm being ungrateful, and a brat yappa yappa yap, like BFR. I don't need to be grateful to you for letting our Nan live there when she chose to move out. Not like I even suggested it, she just didn't like that. I was telling the kids to listen to me and not her. Not like I wanted to be the one doing everything, but she couldn't be trusted to parent a MF cat, let alone actual kids. Take my mum as the example of what my Nan creates. Told my aunt and uncle they can see Foo and keep her until we leave, and then preferably never speak to me again. I'm so done, so over it, so ready to get out of here. Then my oldest sister calls 17 years old crying. BC, I had her blocked. So OFC, I take the phone and she's just going on about her problems. And I tell her I'm too stressed to deal with her RN. She's all, I told you so, you shouldn't have taken the baby. Like, bitch, this baby just sleeps, she's fine. I'm stressed BC of a bunch of adults who can't act like adults or understand any other POV but their own. I know why my sister doesn't want me to have the baby, but she keeps telling me again and again. I have to talk to her like I talk to the little kids and be like, I'm listening to you, and I heard you, and I'm taking it on board. I just don't agree with you, nothing else needs to be said. I had originally told her she was welcome to come over to WA with us, as I knew all of us being together was upsetting her. And I don't want her to feel unwelcome, but I just took that back, BC. I can't think of anything worse than her being around the kids. Anyway, then there's the actual stresses, e.g. moving across the country and having to pack up everything for this many people. I mean, it's a good time to be poor with not many belongings, TBH IDK, how people do this when they have a shit ton of stuff. 7 years old is freaking TF out because one of her lovies is missing and she will not move without it. IDK, if I've mentioned the lovies here before, probably have TBH, they are the bane of my existence, but they are a bunch of old muslin cloths she is very attached to. She thinks of them as her dolls, and her fave thing to do is make them have a tea party, but it's legit just a bunch of rags in a circle around an empty can of Sprite. Some of them are falling apart literally, but she loves them SM. So whatever, if a rag makes her happy, that's cool, but having to look for them all the time is not at fun. Before PPPL say to get her some actual dolls, I have, but they don't hit the same, I guess. So, yeah, finding that is way higher on my priority list than it really should be. On the subject of losing things, 17 years old, lost her fucking mind the other day, and we almost had a fist fight. I was on the edgy from all the other stress, and she was screaming at me and my older sister, #2, and I was so done I actually lost it, which I usually don't do. She ended up being like, "Are you gonna fucking hit me?" And I was almost like, "Yes, bitch, let's go." But I hung on to my last shred of restraint, and my other sister got involved, ending up making 17 years old cry. And then I had to be all nicey nice and comfort her because my older sister is so unmaternal it's unreal. She's just like, "Welp, if you didn't act like an asshole, I wouldn't have yelled at you." Anyway, we are over it now. I apologized. She apologized. We understand each other, and we're moving on. She's just stressed about moving, and I'm stressed about all of the above, so whatever, it was going to happen. My older sister, too, is already at the new house getting it ready, BC. We didn't want to show up with all these damn kids and nothing prepared. Matt is being a stress head as well, so that's hell fun, BC. I don't even have his calm energy to keep me from losing it. Just keep telling myself in a few days it's all over and taking it an hour at a time. Rest of the kids are fine. Had some kind of issue with every single one of them in the last couple weeks. But I knew we would BC, it's Christmas time, and we are moving from their friends, their school, their house, so they are a bit on edge. But they're good considering everything. Like I said, they are not my biggest problem, Rennie. The baby is just being a baby. She's pretty happy, I think, and I'm pretty jealous of her NGL. Just sits there with zero clue what's going on. When packing up, I found some old baby clothes and literally got so triggered BC, some of them had what I'm pretty sure is bloodstains, and it brought up a lot of feelings about everything. Had a full mental breakdown whilst everyone was asleep, and then the baby woke up and brought me back to reality, and not to get emotional, but TBH, it made me so grateful for her. Like just sitting there with her makes me think about how things are SM better now, and how she will have no idea about any of this shit. So fucking glad she's not with my mum RN, and will hopefully never have to see her. Little update turned into a big one as usual. Sorry I can't stop when I get going, but yeah, that's where we are at RN. Pray for me flying with all these lil MFs. It's legit everyone's first ever flight, and getting them settled into a whole new life, which we hope will actually be better and worth the hell of moving. Top comment. Commenter. Oof Han, just wanted to tell you that you are so strong. It really sucks that the adults in your life are being so selfish. Is just shutting them out completely an option? They sound like such a hindrance. I hope you have access to professional help like a therapist to talk to be able to release some of your mental load. You're doing it tough, but you are really amazing and doing the right thing for your family. All the best with the move. Focus only on what you think is best for your immediate family. Try to ignore the outside negativity if you can XX. Story 5. My wife admitted to poking holes in my condoms. I have no one to talk to about this. I just want to type it out. Make more sense of it. Me and my wife, Paige, are both 35. We met back when we were in college and have been married for 6 years. Even when we were just good friends, I was always vocal about my indifference on children. I wanted to focus on my career and figure myself out before I even thought about bringing a human into this world. Paige was aware of this when we started dating, but was slowly starting to get me to ease to the idea of kids. I knew our values were different, and it's my fault for continuing things, but I loved her so much. She is my best friend, and she helped me out of the worst period of my life. About 2 years into our marriage, Paige became pregnant from what I believe to be a freak accident. Obviously, I didn't leave or get mad at her, just wanted to preface that IDK. I took care and supported her throughout the entire pregnancy. Paige gave birth to my twin baby girls. They are my world, plain and simple. I feel sad and alone even after just a little work trip without them. Paige became a stay-at-home mother, something I was completely fine with. Recently, Paige became pregnant again, intentionally this time, and she was starting to become distant and had a look of shame when I tried to talk or be intimate with her. I have been trying to be the best husband possible, but she always insisted she's fine and tried to distract me by talking about our girls. I came home from work to find Paige slouched over, crying on our bed. Our daughters were spending the night with my sister, so we were alone. When I came over to comfort her, she started sobbing about how sorry she was. After I consoled her enough to speak, she explained that she had poked holes in my condoms when we had sex when she first had our baby girls. She didn't try to justify herself, just went on about how she was a piece of shit, didn't deserve me, the girls, or the baby. She was practically hyperventilating. I consoled for the sake of the baby, but I was, and still am angry. I've been sleeping in the guest room. I know that this is technically sexual assault, but I hate the idea of only seeing my daughters and baby half the time. Paige hasn't left our room since. I have to make her dinner after work. She looks so broken, saying that she'll move out if that's what I want. She's pregnant, so obviously I don't, but I'm still incredibly mad and sad. I still love her. I've known her for 1.5 decades. She's been nothing but loving and supportive, and until now, very transparent with me. I just wanted to type this out, make sure my feelings, which I know are justified, are justified. My little girls have been the only reason I'm not breaking down and sobbing. I know I'm weak for thinking about forgetting about this. I'm still thinking about divorcing my wife after the baby's born, but I would still want her to live with me. I know, pathetic. I'm taking the next few days off work. Additional information from OOP. OOP. I'm going to bed. This entire situation is draining. I realize that I need to talk with my wife about this immediately and can't just leave things in the air. I will also look into getting therapy immediately. Thanks again for your advice. Relevant. Top comments. Commenter 1. Stop making her dinner. She is an adult and get her own food. She tricked you and lied to you. Regardless of your children, I don't know how you could ever trust her again. Children are a 2-yes decision, and she took that away from you. I wonder what other lies she has told you over the years. You need to seek counseling. Staying in a marriage for the kids ends up hurting the kids. So you need to figure out if you can stay married to someone who will always put themselves before you. OOP, sorry. When I say making dinner, I actually meant picking up delivery pizza most of the time. She's still carrying my baby. I want her to be healthy and fed. OOP should learn how to accept being a father already. OOP. I've accepted being a father 4 years ago. It's not like I resent my children and don't like being a father. No matter how my children were conceived, they are still the best things to happen to me. Not saying that my wife poking holes in my condoms is a good thing, however. Commenter 2. This is definitely beyond Reddit's pay grade. Start looking into therapy. Do not try to navigate this without professional help. Commenter 3. There's absolutely nothing pathetic about being hurt by and still wanting someone you love. People do stupid, ETA, horrible things, especially when they're hyper-focused. It sounds like your wife had issues with her betrayal, and she's attempting to take ownership for what she's done. Here's the thing. Before you divorce her, think about if that's what you want. Don't worry about what you think others would expect you to do. If you are willing to forgive her and give her the opportunity to earn your trust back, then that's what you should do. It sounds like you're rightfully pissed off, but it also sounds like you're more concerned with your family and keeping them together. If that's ultimately what you want and you can live with it, then that's what you should do. If you know you can't get past it, then you make the necessary changes for what you're able to accept. If it's divorce, it's divorce. My point here is that you don't have to leave because you believe that's what is expected or what you should do. If you leave, make it because it's what you actually want. Also, give it some time before you make a decision. You don't want to decide your future when you feel angry, hurt, and betrayed. I really hope things work out for you. I wish you the best. Update. December 8th, 2024. This is a given. But thank you for taking the time to read and respond to the ramblings of my current situation. From giving me advice to telling me to suck it up, thank you. I'm 100% going to couples therapy with Paige and for myself. She's doing better, not as stressed out as she was before. No, I'm not throwing Paige out of the house while she is 5 months pregnant. She's still being a recluse in our room, making me have to do her usual responsibilities. I was able to have a nice outing with my little girls. We saw Moana 2 LOL. I guess I'm just here to say that I'm doing fine, and we'll be getting professionals to help us through this. The simple matter of fact is that Paige betrayed me, but I still love her so much. Some people were telling me to DNA test my children, but there has been no signs of any affairs. I don't think I could even handle that kind of news if it were true. Even if we do end up getting divorced, I will never tell our family about what Paige did. She's still the mother of my children, and I don't want my family to think less of her. Same goes for my daughters. I don't want them to think they are the product of something like that, and I especially don't want them to think that I resent them. That's all, I guess. Relevant, top comments. Does OOP want any more kids after number 3? OOP, I'm getting a vasectomy. 3 kids is a lot. Commenter 1. You're being an extremely generous person with this situation. I'm glad you and P are doing the work with therapy and trying to bridge this situation. Personally, the fact that your wife is still being a recluse and having you take care of everything at home really grinds my gear. She was the one who wronged you, and somehow she is the one who is acting like the victim and withdrawing from everything. The shoe really should be on the other foot, and she should be the one giving you space to process everything. I do think that you need to allow yourself to feel the emotions you want to feel. You seem to be doing the guy thing of being very outwardly focused on making sure your girls are taken care of, that the household is continuing to run, and solving problems that come up. I'm concerned you're focusing on everyone else so you don't have to deal with your own emotions, and eventually you'll hit a boiling point, and one small thing P does or doesn't do will set you off, and you'll explode on her. Then suddenly you're the angry man yelling at your wife and you're the bad guy. Don't put yourself in that position. Story 6. Eta for how I reacted when my niece announced she was engaged. I, 33M, have a pretty big age difference with my brother, 44M. He had a child at 25, which means that I became an uncle at 14. Because we were pretty close in age, I formed a special bond with my niece, Ella, now 18F. When she was 16, my brother and his family moved away, so I've been seeing them less recently, but we keep in touch and catch up at family events. Last year, at Christmas, my niece told me that she had a boyfriend and told me a bit about him, but I didn't know the guy. He was invited for Easter and a couple of other events, but was never able to make it. When we were planning our mother's birthday, my brother decided to invite Ella's boyfriend so that we could all meet him. Yesterday was the birthday. I was looking forward to meeting Mark, Ella's boyfriend, but was very confused when I saw her walk in with a man that looked double her age. Spoiler alert, he is. She introduced him to me, and I politely smiled, but was deep down very concerned. I went to my brother to ask how old Mark was, and he told me that Mark is 36, so literally double Ella's age. She had told me that he was a bit older, but I assumed like early to mid-20s, not almost 40. That's when they called us in the living room to share exciting news. Ella showed us a ring and revealed that they were engaged. I just said, "What the fuck?" And everyone turned around and looked at me like I was crazy. I told them that they were out of their minds if they thought this was normal, that there was no world in which a 30-something should date an 18-yo, and that she shouldn't be getting married. All of them accused me of ruining Ella's happiness. Some even said that I was jealous of Mark, which is so fucking disgusting I can't even explain it. I mean, I'm younger than Mark, but never in a million years would I ever consider dating someone younger than 25. They told me that it was perfectly legal as they were both adults, which isn't true because they've been dating for a year, and Ella turned 18 7 months ago, and that if they were happy, that's all that matters. I told them that they were sick for allowing this and that he was a predator, but they wouldn't listen. I know this isn't my business, but I can't help but fear for Ella. She is young and doesn't really know what she's getting into. I'm really scared of her getting married and being unable to leave him when she realizes how sick it was. I then left and slammed the door and have been receiving pretty wild messages and calls since then. I don't know if I was wrong for this and am just overreacting. And if I wasn't wrong, I don't know what I can do to make them realize how wrong it is. Eta has no consensus bot. OOP got the majority of NTAs and few YTAs. Relevant. Comment? Does OOP and his family know anything about the BF's background? OOP. I quickly went over his Facebook account, so it's not really verified info, but I saw pictures of him with his ex, I think, and she looked 20. 24, maybe? It's still better, but if the guy has a thing for younger girls, that's even more wrong. And it seems like he was still with his ex when he started dating my niece, so even weirder. How did OOP's niece meet the BF? OOP. Through sports, apparently. My niece does tennis, and so does he. In the same club, and they met during a tournament. At least that's what she told me the first time she told me she had a boyfriend. Was the BF Ella's coach when they met? OOP. No, I don't think so. From what I understood, Ella was in a tournament in her club and she played against adults. She played against Mark, and after he came to talk to her, so they talked, and that was basically it. Update #1, November 9th, 2024. If you didn't see my previous post, here's a TL.dar. My niece is 18 and getting married with a man who's 36. They started dating when she was 17. When she announced she was engaged, I said that it was wrong that he was so much older than her, but everyone else found it okay. So I've taken the past 24H to really reflect on all of this. I tried to take in most of the advice in the comments, and here's what I have decided. I don't think that me telling her and everyone that the relationship is weird was wrong. I do, however, think that I did it wrong, and it was pretty harsh because it was in the heat of the moment. But I still find this very creepy and don't think she should get married. What I've decided to do is apologize to her. I sent her a text saying I was sorry for my outburst and that I should have thought it through beforehand. I told her that I never wanted to make her feel like I didn't want her to be happy, and that I loved her very much and had her best interests in mind. Ask her if we could talk about this. I asked if she would be okay and free to hang out, and maybe get coffee this week to talk about all of this with a clear head. I really want to try and get her to see why it's weird, and that maybe marrying him is not a great choice. Explain myself to my brother. I sent him a text saying that I was sorry for the way I said it, but that I still thought that it needed to be said. I explained to him why I think Mark is a predator, and this relationship could have a very negative and damaging impact on Ella. I'm still waiting on their replies. I'll update when they reply or when I see Ella, if she accepts, depending on how long it would take. In the meantime, I really want to thank everyone who gave me advice and was constructive and really tried to help my niece out of this situation. I also send my best to all of the people in the comments sharing similar stories when they were the teenager getting groomed. I'm so sorry this happened to you, and I really hope you're doing better now. Relevant. Comment? OOP should be there for his niece, should she have any further concerns or worries about her relationship with her BF. OOP. If she doesn't want to talk about it, then fine, it's her choice. But the least I can do is ask her if she'd want to. You don't just let it go when it's predators we're talking about. Do you know how trapped she can be for years if she goes through with it? The least I can do is try my best to let her know that it's weird before she makes such a commitment. And if she doesn't want to hear it, then fine, but no one should just let it go when it comes to these things. Yeah, I'll definitely let her know that I'm always there, and be ready to help her get out of the relationship when it all goes wrong. But I think it's also important to try and talk her out of it. It might not succeed, but if there's even the slightest chance that it might, then it's worth trying. I'd rather she gets out of the relationship now than in 3 years, when she's traumatized by this guy. Update #2, November 12th, 2024, 4 days later. TL Dar of First Posts. My 18-yo niece is engaged to a 36-yo she started dating when she was 17. No one in the family sees a problem. I asked to meet her to talk about it. So, following my text, see last post, Ella replied and told me she agreed to meet with me and talk. I just came back from seeing her. Here's how it went. She asked me what I wanted to tell her, and I started explaining that I didn't think her relationship was very healthy, and that no older guy should want to date a teenager. I told her that she was an incredible woman, so I wasn't saying it was weird that someone would want to marry her, but that guys my age normally shouldn't even look at a teenager. She wasn't convinced and said that sometimes it's true, but sometimes it's okay. I asked her how she would feel if I told her that someone born today could be her future partner, and she said it felt really weird. I also asked her if she would consider dating someone younger than 15, and she said no. I could see her starting to realize that Mark maybe didn't have the best intentions. I also asked her if she knew about his previous relationship, and she said vaguely and just told me the girl's name. I asked her if she knew how old the girl was, and she said she was 21. I also asked her if she knew that their relationships overlapped, and she said that Mark always told her he was single since they met. But she kind of felt like that wasn't true. I told her that since his previous girlfriend was also significantly younger, it seemed like he had a thing for younger girls, which is kind of weird. After discussing that, she told me a bit more about her relationship. She told me she was starting to feel weird about it because of Mark's recent behavior. I asked what she meant, and she said that he had been flirting with a lot of girls who were all also younger, including some of Ella's friends. When she confronted him, he sort of gaslit her into thinking it wasn't flirting. He was also making a lot of comments about having children with Ella and how cute it would be to see her raise them. She told me she was absolutely not ready for that, and also wanted to go to college and work and not be a saham. Because of all of that, she was doubting her relationship, and I told her that I understood. She said she was scared of breaking up with him because he had become her whole life recently, and she didn't know what she would do without him. I told her that she was surrounded by people who loved her and would be there for her, and that she was a lot more than just Mark's girlfriend. I said that she knew my opinion on it, but that ultimately the choice was hers, and that I just wanted her to be happy. I also said I would be there for her no matter what. She told me that she will try to break up with him this week and she'll let me know how it goes. I'll edit this post if I have more info. Also, again, thank you to everyone who gave advice and tried to help us. I really appreciate it. Edit. Okay, so I just want to say, some people in the comments seem to think that this is fake, and you know what? I can understand, and I don't really care. I'm not asking you to believe that my life is real or fake, and it's great that you don't just believe everything you see online. But I just want to say this. There are hundreds of people on here or elsewhere that share similar stories. I'm not really affected by people thinking I'm lying, mainly because I'm not the one in that situation. But some people might be. Some people come on here to share something that might have traumatized them, and the last thing they want is for others to think they're lying. So if you don't want to believe me, that's fine, but the next time keep that to yourself. It's fine to not believe something, but you don't have to say it, because it might make other people feel really bad. Relevant comment. OOP clarifies details regarding the BF's previous relationship prior to current one with Ella. OOP, to explain this in more details. I went through the guy's socials with my friends a few days ago because we thought there might be other weird things going on, and we ended up finding info about his previous relationship, the one right before Ella. So Ella told me at Christmas, so December 24th, that they had been dating for a few months, but when we searched his Facebook, we saw a post wishing happy birthday to a girl who he called his baby on December 12th. And this girl appeared in other posts where they were kissing or he was calling her pet names, so we assumed she was his GF, which Ella confirmed afterwards. And this girl also looked very young. He at one point wrote something about hair and said, as soon as you're done with college, so we knew she was in college. And she looked between 20 and 25. And Ella then confirmed that she was 21. But yeah, basically it seemed like he was still with his ex while dating Ella, so I asked her if she knew about that. OOP should be prepared to support his niece if she chooses to break up with her BF and distance himself from the family if they are blaming OOP for Ella's breaks-up. OOP. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if she ends up breaking up with him, which I hope, her dad will blame me for it, which is the last thing she'll need if she manages to get out of that relationship. I will gladly take the blame, but I'm just scared she'll feel guilty about it and blame herself if she sees that her dad is mad at me. She's a very empathetic kid, which is a really great quality, but sometimes she hurts herself because of it. Update #3, December 9th, 2024, almost 1 month later. I know it's been a while since I posted the last update, and a lot of people have been requesting updates on the whole situation, but until now I hadn't really received any news. So please forgive me if this update took a while to come. Since my conversation with Ella, I would check in on her once or twice a week and ask how things were, and she'd always tell me pretty much the same as what she told me a month ago. Basically, there were many red flags, and she was getting more and more uncomfortable in her relationship, but she also didn't know how to break up with him. I tried to give her some advice, but eventually told her that I thought she should do it when she felt comfortable. Yesterday, I called her to know what she had planned on Christmas, and if she'd be coming to the Christmas dinner that I was hosting, and if Mark would be coming. That's when she told me that she had broken up with him the evening before. She was pretty shaken up, so I didn't ask for too much detail and asked if she wanted to come to my house for a while. She said that Mark had left to stay with his family when she told him, so she was okay staying home. This is maybe not a very detailed update, but here's what I know. She told me that he had been getting angry at her all week for small things. And then they were talking about Christmas, and he insisted that they shouldn't go with Ella's family, and instead spend a week with his family because they see them less often. They live out of state. And after that, he made a comment about how he hoped that the next year as a present, they could give his mother a grandchild, and Ella said that's what really made her break up with him. And she also told me that she would be coming alone for Christmas. I don't know what she told him or how he reacted, and maybe she'll tell me more in a while when she feels better, and if not, I won't ask her to. If I get more information, I'll edit this post, but for now, that's it. Again, thank you to anyone who gave advice and tried to help with this situation. Top comments. Commenter 1, oh, thank God Ella figured out he was not the one. Commenter 2, thank God for Ella. You are an amazing person and a wonderful uncle. She is incredibly lucky to have you in her life. Commenter 3. Thank goodness Ella has you. Your words may have spared her quite a bit of pain. I am happy she's broken up with him. Hopefully he doesn't weasel his way back into her home. Story 7. My F33 fiancé, M34, revealed to me that he has a child with another woman. How do I process this? I have been with my fiancé for a year and 3 months. I am 6 months pregnant. I know we moved very fast with our engagement and getting pregnant. I know it was not a very rational decision. Somehow it seemed right at the time. We have had some fights, but in general things seemed good, and we have been very excited about meeting our baby soon. Yesterday, my fiancé sat me down and told me we needed to talk about something. He told me he was very sorry he did not tell me sooner, that he was afraid I might leave and he was ashamed. He also told me that he understands that I might leave after what he tells me. He told me he has a child with his ex. They were together years ago for 8 years, but met up several years later, had some casual sex, and she got pregnant unexpectedly. They did not get together after that, but she wanted to keep the baby. He started dating someone else that did not work out, and then he met me. The child is 1 year and 3 months old, so she was born right around the time we had started dating. We had been dating for about 2 weeks. Back then, he told me he had to go on a week-long business trip, but actually he was at the hospital and his daughter was born. He has told me that he goes to the gym almost every day, for around 3 hours, but in reality he has also used that time to see his daughter. The mother of his child does not know he is engaged with me and that I am pregnant. He tells me they just do not talk about these kinds of things. She has also blocked me on Facebook, even though I have never tried to contact her. He told me she does not want to know anything about me, and that she would probably want to be with him. But he does not have feelings for her. I asked him how come she still has feelings for him, if he has been clear with her that he does not want a relationship and it has been 2 years since their casual sex. He told me, I don't know, I guess I am just that great. I am having a hard time processing all of this. My fiancé said he feels better now after getting it off his chest. He says he understands I need time to think about this situation, but he also says he does not want to wait forever for me to decide whether I want to continue this relationship or not. He wanted me to meet his daughter today, but I said it was too soon for me. Now he has bought some diapers and other stuff for when she comes over. He asked me if I would be ready tomorrow. We have not yet bought much for the nursery for our baby, but now he suddenly wants to hurry up and buy a bed for the nursery so that his daughter could stay the night before our baby is born. I feel overwhelmed trying to process all the information, and also sad that the nursery I have been planning for our baby will not just be for our baby. This is not how I imagined having my first child. What are your thoughts on this? Has anyone ever been in a similar situation? How to process all of this and how to move forward? Comment, all red flags. I'm that great? Bro, get over yourself. I think you need to find a way to reach out to his ex to confirm his story. It's all pretty convenient. That you can't reach out to her, and that he was already broken up when you guys met, but she was still pregnant. It's also convenient that he got the courage to tell you this after you couldn't get an abortion anymore. He sounds like he's baby trapping you. I'm not sure, so please reach out to the ex. There is more to the story. Edit. Snarky edition link. Comment. He wants you to be a babysitter for his kid when he's 100% still sleeping with his ex. Tell him his kid can come to your house after you meet the mama in person. Watch how quickly he tries to squirm out of that. You need to find and talk to this woman. He's lying to both of you. Link. OP. I told him I want to contact her ex either by writing to her or face-to-face. He told me he will tell her tomorrow that I would like to meet face-to-face. Also, I found her Instagram and he saw that. He got upset and told me I should not write to her on there, even though I was not planning on doing it right away. I told him that if she does not agree to meet in person, I am going to contact her on Instagram. He said I am being a bully because she has said she does not want to talk to me. He said I am treating him badly by threatening to contact her, that it is not my place to tell her things. He also said she is mentally unstable and has threatened to commit suicide in the past. He said he is afraid of how it will affect her when I contact her, that she might want to harm herself or that she might start to keep his daughter from him. Link. Update my F33 fiancé, M34, revealed to me that he has a child with another woman. How do I process this? The 21st of November, 2024. Firstly, I want to thank everyone who responded to my original post. There were so many comments. I tried to read through all of them. Many of you recommended that I find a way to contact the mother of his child. As she has blocked me on Facebook, I could not message her there. I did message her on Instagram, but she did not respond. I do not know if she even saw my message request. I told my fiancé that it was necessary for me to talk to her, either on the phone or in person. He told me she did not want to talk to me, but as I insisted on it, he convinced her. When he was visiting her and his daughter, he called me and let me talk to her on speakerphone. She confirmed that she had blocked me because she has blocked all of his girlfriends, because she does not want any communication. She told me they have not been together since the 3rd month of her pregnancy, but there were some false hopes involved. She said she now has found out we are engaged, and I am pregnant. Before that, she just blocked me because she saw me calling him once. He has told me she has always said she does not want to know anything about his personal life, and that is why he has hidden that he lives with me and everything else about us. I asked her if she would be willing to unblock me on FB so that we could talk some more. She said she does not want to intervene. From now on, he has been very open about when she calls or messages him. They have only talked about their child. He agreed to share his location with me all the time, suggested going to couples counseling, and has been extra attentive towards me these past days. He has apologized to me countless times and asked me what he can do to rebuild trust between us. I do not know if there is a way to get trust back. It seems to me that he was not having an affair, but hiding his child from me and hiding me from the mother of his child is still a huge lie. I cannot believe he would do something like this. Comment, are you going to be the new ex he has a secret child with? Will he start going to the gym for 6 hours while he stays with a new woman to impregnate? There were some false hopes involved. Da Fook? Link. Comment, you don't really know if that was actually his child's mother on the phone. Too much lying over too long a period of time and all of a sudden he wants you start believing him? Now he's offering up his location and his phone. He's just gotten better at hiding it. He has you where he wants you, pregnant and dependent on him. Story 8. Aida for taking my daughter's phone away for exposing my dirty laundry to her friends in a group chat. I, 50F, am a newly divorced single mom who was left by my ex after 27 years of marriage after his mistress became pregnant. I have a 17-year-old daughter and a 26-year-old daughter. My 26-year-old lives abroad. My ex-husband was physically and verbally abusive our entire marriage. The physical abuse began in earnest in our mid-20s and reached a peak in our early 30s. I only have a HS diploma. I originally wanted to go to college after marriage, but my ex's abuse had me paralyzed to do anything he labeled as opposing/undermining him and our family, which included education and work. I tried to leave many times from around age 26 to 33, when the physical abuse was the worst, but he'd find me. He'd alternate between gifts and apologies and threats. He also involved our bishop who sided with him. He would go through our trash and once found a pamphlet for a community college program, and the ensuing rage nearly landed me in the hospital. He'd call 5 times a day when he was at work and would often hit me if I missed a call accusing me of cheating or job hunting. Mid-30s, his physical abuse died down a bit, but the verbal abuse and controlling fixation, where he'd constantly be paranoid and call me a liar, sneaky, undermining, remained until our late 40s when he began ignoring me completely. I was so broken down at that point that I was an emotional robot with no interests, enjoyment of life, aspirations. That's when he started calling me dumb, boring, empty. He even said he'd prefer a liar and underminer over what I was now, and left me for his pregnant mistress who later called the cops on him for hitting her but declined to press charges. My ex wasn't a big earner and spent a lot keeping up appearances, so I got around $7,000 in the divorce. I understand many would be thankful for what I got. I got a job after 2 months making $14 per hour, but my boss said he can't schedule me full-time. Take it or leave it. But I'm concerned about my retirement because all I want is to be able to retire in my 70s with consistent food and shelter since I'm already having health issues. So I asked my 17-yo who took a personal finance elective to help me read through some information I found online about retirement savings. The other day my phone was dead and I needed to look something up, so I used my daughter's phone. I found a group chat where my daughter was asking her friends who were in the class for advice, and they were saying, "I don't know, sounds tough," or saying I should apply for hospital jobs. She then wrote, "I know my mom is an example of what not to do, but help please." She also aired laundry about how her new stepmother was like a mini version of me, and doesn't understand why people like her dad get off on the fighting and his new wife opposing him, which leads to him tearing her down and then making up with her. She also claims that I was thrown to the side by my ex because he got bored of me being what he wanted, and a classmate said maybe her dad likes the fighting because he knows he'll win and feel like a champion. I just feel it was so disrespectful since I've told her about the abuse, yet she doesn't understand the toll it takes on you. I didn't need her airing out my dirty laundry. Her response was she cut her dad off, so she does understand and was trying to help. I took her phone for the afternoon, saying maybe she'll think twice criticizing my choices to her friends. Ada. Top comments. Bloody_Mabel. YTA. You're covering for your POSX. Who cares if your daughter airs dirty laundry? People should know what kind of man her father is. I don't know 1973. YTA without a doubt. You're asking your child to help you deal with adult issues, but are punishing her for asking her peers for advice? And I'm sure you would not want your daughter to live through the same situation as you have, so must agree that you are an example of what not to do. Update December 9th, 2024. I don't know the rules about how quickly you can post an update, but I'm posting one because it only takes 2 seconds to hand back a phone and apologize, which is what I did. Shortly after the thread began getting a lot of comments, which also is why I stopped replying. My daughter said that it's okay and that she didn't mean to say that I was boring. She says that she just thinks her dad is somebody who would much sooner reward bad behavior than good, and that if I had been a liar or even a cheater, somebody who mouthed off to him or snuck around, he would have found that more worthy of love, and that's very sad. I know the thread became about the one incident with my daughter, but I think at least partially, it was a cry for help, because I think I am coming to terms with the fact that the last time I worked for an extended period of time, I was 19, working for a family friend who owned a store. I remember when I first got married briefly helping my ex's father one day in the office of his business, where he told me to write out a few checks, by hand, to vendors. When I first started looking for jobs, an acquaintance looked at me sideways when I told her about my experience issuing handwritten checks for bookkeeping, as I saw a posting for a bookkeeper jobs and realized how out of it I was. My church has helped me. The bishop gave me money to pay 1/3 of my monthly rent once, but in exchange I did deep cleaning work and was on call to do other odd jobs whenever he asked, and had to give him access to all my financial statements. He also asked questions about why I wasn't maintaining good relations enough with my children's father such that he decided to file for divorce. I am very grateful for the help he gave and will treasure it always, but want to do it on my own. So I am posting this update not just to update on the situation, but to ask if anybody has any suggestions. My daughter is very worried because recently I've had health issues. I was recently treated for 2 STDs, one of which was bacterial, but another which will affect me for the rest of my life. I also have issues with swelling from arthritis. So I posted the original because somehow I hope to be able to retire somewhere in my 70s. I understand retiring comfortably is asking too much, but just enough to live alone and not starve. I got advice about my ex's SS benefits, and I'm hoping that will be enough, but if anybody has any tips, I would appreciate it too. I just want to live in dignity in my old age, because I know health only continues to dip at my age, and while I can do the job I'm doing even with arthritis, for now I don't know about when I'm 70. I talk with other women who are facing divorce on this, but they refuse to address the topic, saying, I shouldn't act like this is something to put anybody in paralyzing fear over. I try not to be scared, but feel lost. I'm hoping if I start from the bottom somehow, if I work hard enough, I can at least make my way into a corporate job so I can sit in my older age, but don't know if that's too much to ask. Top comments. Torch it. Your best bet is to look into community college and apply for degree programs that have an immediate hiring track to a white-collar job. That will extend your amount of working years. It takes far less effort to sit behind a keyboard than to stock shelves. Look into supply chain management, HR management, medical billing, coding, etc. Scooty 22. I'm so happy for your update, but you need a professional therapist to help you. A bishop shouldn't have access to your financials, and I'm so happy you're seeking independence. Story 9. I taught a joker how it feels. A couple years ago, a job with housing fell through, so I was stuck in a strange town and state with no money or home. I got a job waitressing and a side gig at night cleaning, and did all the hours I could. I was tired, dirty, and hungry for 3 months, until I found a person that needed a roommate. Things got better, and I even got a little cat that kept me company. Luckily, the town was near a tourist area, and enough folks got lost on the way to tourist places that the diner I worked at was busy. But Sundays were the worst. The locals on Sunday didn't tip, and without tips, I went hungry. One Sunday, a local family left a $100 tip, but the tip turned out to be fake, with a sermon on the back, and it was stamped with a local church name and address. I was salty. For over a year, that same family came in. I very gently tried to tell the man how disappointed I was when it wasn't a tip, but he said riches in God were better. He didn't ever tip at all for the whole time I was there. Then in September, a hurricane came through. The diner was flooded as closed. Since I didn't have a job anymore, I could go to church on Sunday if I wanted. I bought a lottery ticket and went to that church with the $100 sermon. The guy was there, and turns out he was the pastor. There was only about 30 people in the church, and it had lost part of the roof in the storm. The people seemed nice, and I knew them mostly from the diner, though I didn't know their names. I never went to church much since I was a little kid, so it was different. They took an offering, and I put in my $2 lottery ticket. The next week, I went again, with a lottery ticket. The $100 pastor teased me that he had never gotten a lottery ticket in the basket before, and I told him he was getting another one. Maybe God would make him lucky. He thought it was funny. Then the next week, I took a fake lottery ticket in. My brother had given it to me and told me it was fake because he didn't want to hurt my feelings. I had held on to it because it was from him. I put that in the basket. The 4th week was the last week I was there. I got a job in Cincinnati and was going to drive up there that day. Folks at church knew because I had told them the week before, and they were saying goodbye. The $100 pastor came up to me and really quietly scolded me before I left, though. He told me it had been real hurtful to think he had won a lottery enough to fix the roof, and then it turned out to be a joke. He told me I should think about it as I drive to my new job. I told him that now he knew how I felt when he gave me that fake 100 when I was sleeping in my car and hungry. I left and was happy about it the whole drive north. It's the best thing I ever did. Relevant comment. Jamlosen. How did he respond? OP. He said he didn't realize I was homeless at the time. I asked how many rich waitresses he had known. His face got purple, and I sort of thought he was going to slap me for just a second. But he could have just been embarrassed. I hope he was. Where did OOP get the fake lottery ticket? My brother got them from a kid at his high school. He said there was a big box of them. Answering questions and how I'm doing November 25th, 2024. A bunch of people have messaged me questions, so I thought I'd answer them here if you're curious. Why did you go to that church if you were mad at them? I wasn't mad at the whole church, just the guy that gave me the fake tip. One of the other waitresses told me that he was the pastor and that he did that to any new person he used, like new mechanics, new waitstaff, and new barbers. Anyone a regular person might tip. He did that too, and then did a preaching comment to make you feel guilty if you mentioned it to him. I didn't believe he was actually a pastor. I thought he just called himself that like street preachers do. When the hurricane hit, there was no electricity. If you didn't have a generator, the roads were closed and nothing to do. I decided to go see if his church was real. It was a walk, but it was something to do. Everything but the gas stations pretty much was closed and shut down, so I was surprised his church was having a service and that it actually was a church with a building and sign and everything. And I recognized some of the people besides the pastor and his family. They weren't the people I was mad at, so I stayed. Why did you bring an unscratched lottery ticket to the church? That fake 100 stuck with me for some reason. Lots of unfair stuff happens that you just let go, but this thing stuck. When I needed money real bad but didn't have it, I'd think that I'd be fine right now if I had that 100. Then I'd be mad all over. I used the mad feeling to give me energy to do the next thing I needed to do, or to distract me from not having what I needed. Maybe it's not healthy to do that. But it helped to be mad at him, and to imagine ways he'd get punished. I know it's weird, but it was stuck in my head. I brought the lottery ticket because I knew I had the fake one, and would use it just like I did if it turned out that he actually was a pastor. I sort of hoped he would win $15 or something on the real ones to get him hooked on the hope of winning. That hope is addictive and a little painful, and I wanted that for him. I didn't know how long we would be stuck there. I heard FEMA was coming, but we're going to worse places first, so thought it would be closed down a long time. It felt like a war zone, and it felt like it would last forever being stuck there. So I was just going to keep giving him $2 tickets until the town opened up again if I didn't get up the courage to give him the fake ticket. But then I got a job in another state, so I finished it up with the fake ticket. I could have left to go to Ohio that Wednesday, but I stuck around to see how the pastor acted. Then it turned out a lot like I had hoped it would, only I was much more nervous than I expected. I had wanted to say this big thing about how he was using people and he was not a good person, and it just didn't come out. He told me I should think about what I had done while I drove. I think what I said was very close to, "When I was sleeping in my car and hungry, you gave me a joke 100, so it's fair." My mouth was dry and I was shaking. I'm real surprised I got like that because I'm not scared of things. That's when I got the feeling that if no one had been around, he would have hit me. I wondered if he hit his wife and kids. "How's Cincinnati and how are you?" I can't believe how many people asked me that, and it feels good to me. Thank you. Folks asked for pictures of my cat, too. She's doing good. She's just always calm. There is a picture of her. Her name is Tuna. She needs a new collar, but she's not vain, so she can wait until Vertical Bar get to the dollar store. I'm staying with my mama. We had lost track of each other for a while, and some things had happened with my family that made me think my grandmother wouldn't want a relationship with me. She didn't say so, I just assumed. While I was in North Carolina, she got a hold of me and told me that her part of the family was sad I had left, and I made up with some aunts and her and some cousins. When the hurricane happened, it made the news, and my grandmother asked me to come stay with her. She was getting a hip surgery and needed the help. Then I got accepted for a home health care job in the same city. So right away, I had a place with my mama, and I'm saving her money because she doesn't need to hire help while she heals, so I'm not freeloading, and I have food and a job. My job offered to put me through nursing school if I worked there part-time during school and for 2 years afterwards. I accepted, and I did placement testing this last week. I'll start classes in January. Turns out my math skills are very good, which I didn't know, so that feels good. So that's it. I'm very busy, and I like that, and I've gained back a couple pounds already because my mama keeps telling me to eat whenever I get in the door. She and Tuna cat like each other, too, and she tells Tuna to eat, too. I tell the cat she'll be a fat fish, and she likes that. So that's it. I have family again, and a nice place, food, a job, and a way to make myself secure when I finish school. The $100 and the pastor is unstuck from my head, and I don't think about it at all now except when I wrote it out for Reddit, and that seems to have cleaned the last bit of it from my brain. I might go to some church again sometime, but I don't feel the need, and I'm so busy it's not high on my list. Thank you to everyone who wished me well, and thank you to all the local folks who welcomed me. It felt good. I've been exploring when I can. Findlay Market is very cool, and I ate out at Ollie's Trolley, and it was good too. But that's about it. I'll do more exploring when I get settled and have time. Thank you everyone for being caring, folks. Story 10. My 26F fiancé, 30M, bought a car without talking to me first. I asked for space to think. What do I say when we talk again? Fiancé was in a car accident recently. He's fine, but his car is totaled. Mechanic said there's no way to fix it. Fiancé needs a car for work, so he's been looking into car loans. Over dinner, he told me that due to his bad credit, he can't get a good loan. I have a high credit score, so he asked if I'd be willing to co-sign the loan with him. Caught me off guard, so I told him to give me a few days to think about it. Called my dad for advice. He said that he thinks it's a bad idea since if my fiancé doesn't pay on time, they'll come after me, and it'll ruin my credit. I'm on the fence. I want to help, but I can't ignore my father's logic. Do I co-sign the loan or listen to my dad? Relevant. Comment? Commenter 1. Is he looking to get a brand new car? If so, then no. I wouldn't do that for a fiancé. Would I loan a couple grand to help buy a used car outright? Sure, that is something I could realistically do for a fiancé. But does he not have enough savings to purchase a used car? If he doesn't have 3-5K kicking around as emergency funds for moments like this, that's concerning. And what about the insurance here? His car was totaled. Does the insurance cover some of that, or was it entirely his fault? I am someone who expects the other to live within their means. Terrible credit. No savings. Maybe a brand new car is a horrible idea if that is what he is going for. Perhaps he needs to buy a cheaper car where he isn't being hammered with monthly payments. Something that is affordable within his means. Rebuilding credit isn't that hard. It is a process for sure. But if he hasn't been focusing on restoring his credit the past couple of years, that sounds like a him problem. It's one of those things. You're about to marry the dude. You want proof that your future husband is fully capable of holding his own, making smart decisions. Not just you bailing him out because you're available. OOP. We've been working on rebuilding his credit. Our pastor's day job is as a financial advisor, so he's been helping us on money matters. I have substantial savings and excellent credit, so I'm fine, but it's a work in progress for my fiancé. Pastor created a schedule for fiancé, and it's working. Credit still isn't great, but better than it used to be. Also, I'm pushing for fiancé to get an older used car. It's actually a condition for my help. I told him that if I do help with payment, I get some say in the type of car. There is no way he's buying a newer model at some big dealership. Between the wedding and looking at apartments, we need all the money we can get. Commenter 2. So he totaled his car and has bad credit? Absolutely not. I agree, he has bad credit for a reason. Don't let his irresponsibility rub off on you. OP. Trust me, I'm not. After the pastor laid out his total debt and showed us the schedule to pay it all off, the first thing I did was go to his house and force him to shred all his credit cards. Commenter 3. It is a massively bad idea. There are ways for people with bad credit to buy a car besides having their girlfriends co-sign. Also, if his credit is so bad he can't get a car loan, you may want to push back the wedding on the condition he get his credit score up to an acceptable level if you all want to live together after marriage in a place of your own. Update, December 9th, 2024. I didn't know how to update, but something serious happened. The morning after I made my original post, fiancé went out and bought a new car. I was at the mall around noon when he messaged me saying he went ahead and got a car. I was stunned. We started talking. He said he felt bad putting me in that position, so he decided to get what loan he could and bought a car with it. I can 100% say I have never been so angry with him. I'm happy I don't have to worry about co-signing anymore, but I feel betrayed. We agreed to wait 3 days before making a decision, but he just went ahead and did this without saying anything to me. That's always been my biggest complaint with him, his impulsiveness. He just jumps right into anything without thinking. Another thing I'm angry about is the actual car. Instead of going to a small shop and getting a cheap used car, he went to a big dealership. He didn't get a brand new car, but it's way fancier than what he needs. The loan is also about $23,000. I told him to not talk to me and give me a few days to think. I'm just so frustrated. Why couldn't he just tell me that he decided he didn't want me to co-sign a loan with him anymore? Why didn't he involve me with choosing a car? We're getting married, so I'd like to be part of these decisions. Top comments. Commenter 1. He didn't involve you because you would say no, it wasn't an accident. Rethink marriage and dating with him. Unless you want more decisions he just makes without you and will upset you. Commenter 2. He doesn't respect you as his life partner. He's the main character and you're along for the ride. Commenter 3. On the one hand, he's an adult and you don't have shared finances, so he doesn't need to consult you on a purchase like this. On the other hand, given the whole past, his bad spending habits, being on a debt repayment plan organized by your pastor, having bad credit, and the fact he was asking you to co-sign originally, he still doesn't have to get your permission, but you've been trying to get him to be fiscally responsible, and he knew this was not, and you'd stop him, so he didn't tell you. I'd be rethinking marriage to this guy. He just makes dumb choice after dumb choice. Maybe you won't be impacted by this purchase, but he's going screw you over financially eventually. It's hard to recover when someone wrecks you financially. Story 11. My 20M brother, 18M, has become obsessed with my fiancée, 21F, of 2 years. Caught him stealing dirty pictures of her off of my phone, got worse and worse. This whole thing is really fucking with my head. I met my Rachel the first week of college. We were each our first everything pretty much. I actually converted to Judaism because of her, hence the fake name. I'm not really that religious, but I really liked the way her family felt. My family was pretty dysfunctional, and I felt like it gave me a good way of looking at and living life. We're not too serious about it. We don't keep kosher, we're living together, etc. Anyways, she's heart-achingly beautiful. She gets hit on any time and every time we go out. It used to be a problem. I would get jealous sometimes, but I mainly got over it. And now it kind of makes me feel good in an ego-boosting way. It makes me feel good knowing that people find her attractive and she finds me attractive. I haven't felt threatened by a guy in a while. Anyways, we go to college in my hometown. My brother Jim recently graduated and asked to come live with me and my girlfriend. I asked if my girlfriend was okay with it. She said yes, so we let him come. My brother is different from me, and even my older brother. He didn't play any sports. Me and my older brother were on the college basketball team until he graduated last year. He's also shorter and a little heavy. I'm 6'5" and 178 pounds. My brother is about 5 or 9 inches and 230 pounds. He asked for help losing weight when he moved in. Honestly, me and my older brother think he's a product of an affair, because he's also a lot darker skinned than us. We're all white, but he looks Italian as opposed to Irish like us. He's also a little anti-social, listens to a bunch of metal, screamo, etc., and doesn't seem to have a lot of friends. Everything's fine up he walks in on us. Jim moved in with us in late July. Me and my fiancée have a lot of sex. Before he moved in, it was a couple of times a day. Whenever he leaves to go do something, we'll usually take that as a chance. We did something stupid, and were in the living room when he got back. I had forgotten that I had given him his own key. I had finally gotten around to having one made. Anyways, he walked in and was staring at us with the widest eyes I've ever seen. My girlfriend notices him first and freaks out. We get dressed quickly, and then we apologize to him. He says it's fine. Thinking back now, it wouldn't be that surprising if he heard us a few times at night, or the music we would listen to while we were together. I'm sure the only reason a couple ever plays a Weezer album at night is to have sex to it. Anyways, things are fine. A week later, Jim asks me about sexting girls, and if I have any advice for him. I've been the go-to for all of the relationship sex questions. He told me a girl was offering to send pictures. I told him just to never ask for them or pressure the girl into doing it, to never say anything too crass when you compliment her, and to never share them. He asks if I've ever sexted, and I told him a couple of times. I figure now that this was him just manipulating me into answering a question for him. 2 days later, he asks to borrow condoms. I tell him I don't have any, and he says, "That's right. You weren't wearing one with Rachel." This freaks me out, and I ask him if he was looking at my penis, and that it's weird that he would look for something like that. He quickly apologizes, says he noticed it when we jumped up when we saw him, and that he didn't look for it. I believed him. Went to go get him some at the store. He didn't want to go with me because it would make us look gay. Gave him them. Said that the only reason I didn't wear them was because we were both tested and willing to deal with the consequences, and told him if I ever found out he didn't use one, I'd beat the shit out of him. I know I'm a fucking hypocrite, but I hate them, and my girlfriend says she feels closer to me without them. This isn't the issue. I also offer to take him to get the HPV vaccine. He takes me up and we go do that. 5 days ago, I lose my phone. I'm freaking out, tearing the apartment upside down looking for it. When I go into my brother's room, he jumps out of bed and hides something underneath the cover. Deciding I was going to give him a little shit to make me feel better about losing my phone, reach under the blanket for whatever he was hiding, and there's the fucking phone. I have to travel a lot for basketball, and while I was away, Rachel would send me pictures of her naked and videos of her masturbating. My brother was emailing them to himself, as well as a couple of pictures of her that weren't as risque. Furious, I started shoving him around, but I stopped myself before I did anything too serious. I instantly make him go through his room, and there's one of her bras hidden under his bed with some porn. I then tell him to open his laptop and wait in the living room while I look at it. I wanted to make sure I deleted any and all pictures of Rachel. There weren't any that I could find, so I got on his email and deleted the stuff he sent to himself. I then got on the internet to check his history just to be safe. This is what really shocked the shit out of me. He had gone on some dating hookup forum and had asked for advice getting with his brother's fiancée. A few days later, he said that he had gotten with her and was updating regularly, like some fucking kind of pseudo-blog. He started it when he first moved in and was basing some of it on real life. I'll give a couple of examples. Lowell, she looks so miserable when she's with him. I fucked her good when she got done with the faggot. LOL fucking her with condoms he bought me. Giddy, her tits look great out of these. That one included a picture of the bra he stole. The rest were images off of Google, close-ups of sex. Those were based on the things I described earlier. That morning he promised some pics, the ones he was stealing off my phone. He had already posted pictures of her off of Facebook, including one in a bikini and a few from a website of me and my fiancé's friend who makes dresses and sells them. She asked my fiancé and a couple of other girls we knew to wear them. On his computer, he also had a letter to her, asking her to leave me and be with him. It was so bizarre, and apparently he hates me. He insulted me constantly and said that she would be happier with him, and that she was the most beautiful girl in the world to him. I wiped his hard drive to make sure there was nothing else of her, checked his phone, gave him $200 in case I deleted anything with the wipe, got everything he would need for class, and threw him out. I told him to go back home that I was telling Rachel, but I wouldn't say anything to our parents if he didn't make a big deal out of me kicking him out, and to have Mom come and get the rest of his things. I also told him if he didn't delete the stuff I would have to tell Mom and Dad. I checked later to see if he did, and he had. Telling Rachel was difficult. She cried a lot, told me she felt disgusted. We had an honest talk, and we decided that the only way we would be comfortable with him back in our lives is if he stick with therapy for a while, and I sent him a text telling him as much. Rachel blocked him on her phone, social media, etc., and made her Facebook account private. She seemed really uncomfortable for a couple of days. The first day was the worst. She was too freaked out to be alone. I didn't realize this at first and didn't think much of it when she said she'd wanted to watch me shoot. We did that, and when I drove home to drop her off so I could go by the school to pick up some documents, she asked to come with me. After that, I was going to go play some ball with some of the guys, and she again asks to come to that. I realized what was going on, asked her why she didn't want to go home. Apparently she thought I hadn't taken his key. I told her that night she must have forgot or not heard, and didn't feel safe. I felt sick to my stomach that my kid brother could make her scared in her own home. She talked to her therapist about it the day after that for her weekly appointment. She's getting back to normal now, being her sweet, fun self. We had a pretty good little date night yesterday. I, however, still feel lost about this whole thing. What do I do from here? Our parents don't know, but I told my older brother to ask for advice. I'm so mad about it, and irrationally, I'm jealous of him for getting to see her in a way only I ever have. I feel like he stole that from me and her. I also feel bad about what I perceive to be a loss of all love towards him. I don't feel like I care about him at all anymore. I'm considering going to a therapist about this stuff, but I'm not sure about it. I went to one when I was younger and I just couldn't communicate. It could end up being an expensive waste of time. I also don't know how I tell my parents he's not welcome at our wedding this winter, and that we wouldn't be coming to family dinners anymore. Since I told him I wouldn't tell them if he didn't make a scene about me kicking him out. I'd really appreciate some advice perspective on this whole thing. Talder, I caught my brother stealing dirty photos and videos of my fiancée off my phone, did some looking around and found her bra, a love letter he hadn't sent, and a blog where he posted how he was sleeping with her, obviously a lie, and posted Facebook photos of her on it, and said he was going to post the dirty photos. Not sure what to do. I'm extremely angry and a little irrationally jealous that he saw her in a way only I have. My fiancé seems to be doing well. Also need to know, how do I bring up to my family that my brother won't be attending our wedding? Edit. I forgot to say this, but I took screenshots of the blog to be safe. If he lies to my parents, I have evidence of everything. Relevant comment. Population tire. Step 1 is tell your parents. They should know about this, and it will make Step 2 more reasonable to them. Step 2 is a complete removal of your brother from your life, at least for a little while. Your fiancé clearly is feeling incredibly violated, and rightfully so. Your brother is a pervert. You should reassure her that A. She is the most important person in your life, and her safety and well-being are your top priority, B. You will never subject her to a situation where your brother is present, even if it means limiting contact with the rest of your family, and C. Whatever else she needs to feel comfortable in her home, be it moving, changing locks, etc., you will do for her without question. OP, I didn't want to break my word to him, but now I'm thinking I'm going to have to. A, B, and C are done. We also already changed the locks. Dinosaur_train. Step up and make a phone call. Some things need to be heard with tone and inflection. Your parents' generation don't want a damn typed-out message. They are about to hear their kid is a sexual predator. Give them the respect of telling them over the phone. You wouldn't email them that someone died, would you? No. Serious things demand human-to-human verbal contact. By that logic, would it be better to meet somewhere public? I wanted to tell them exactly what happened. Let them ask questions from me, but if they get irrational, they very well might. It might be harder to explain. Dinosaur_train. It would be ideal to tell them in person, but in private, not in public. But if they have a history of being violent, do it over the phone. Good luck. OP. I'm going to do it over the phone. My dad's taken a swing at me a few times. They've never really forgiven me for the whole converting thing. If my brothers lied to them, they might get defensive and start attacking me. I think everyone else is right in telling your parents, but I'll go further and say that you should delete those photos off of your phone. They're fun to have, but what if you really do lose your phone in public? Now, intimate pictures of your girlfriend can be spread everywhere, and there would be little to nothing you could do about it. For your girlfriend's internet privacy, please, please, please don't keep nudes on your phone, because I guarantee you 100% that if those pics got out by, and large people would blame your girlfriend for taking them in the first place. Look at what just happened with those celebrities. OP. I deleted them. She didn't have to ask. However, last night she decided she wanted to replace them. She'll surprise me with a picture that she won't tell me about. And I still have those on my phone. My brother managed to guess my password. It's our grandmother's birthday. I've told him I use it for a lot of stuff before, never specifically mentioning it was my phone password. I changed my password to something completely random, made it a lot more complicated. It's something that we both enjoy doing, especially when I don't get to see her for a whole weekend. That being said, if there is a more secure way of going about it, I'd love to hear about it. Stopping would be a last resort kind of thing. OOP edited the original post. Edit 2. Me and my fiancé are going to meet with my parents tonight to discuss. Thanks for the advice. I'll take all of it into consideration, and it felt pretty good getting it off my chest like this. Edit 3. Just woke up. Gonna answer some questions because it's driving me insane if I don't really fast. Gonna update when I have time to. Update. I talked to my parents September 12th, 2014, next day. I had a typo in the original title. My fiancé and I have been together for 3 years, not 2. My parents aren't going to be coming to our wedding. Rachel and I went to meet my parents at their house. Jim was brought to my uncle's house while we were over. I told them that I had to tell them why Jim wasn't staying with us anymore. They told me that they knew and that Jim had told them everything. When they said everything, I was doubtful at first, but Jim really had told them everything. I had printed out the draft of the email I was going to send them, and they confirmed he admitted to everything. He had asked for help. I was stunned. He's already started therapy. He's going twice a week. Anyways, this whole time they were extremely kind to Rachel. They apologized for raising someone that could do these horrible things. I figure this is as good a time as any to make sure it's clear he can't come to our wedding. My mom instantly starts freaking out about this. She says how she wants our whole family there, that we'll regret not having him there for the rest of our lives. I tell her that he still makes Rachel uncomfortable, threatened even, and my mom asks if it's true, and Rachel says yes. They say that they won't be there without him, and that even though they'll still love me and support us, they wanted to support Jim too. My parents' original plan, in conjunction with Jim's therapist, was for him to meet us once a month for an hour, if we were open to it. I tell them that that's not happening. Rachel wasn't okay with it, but I agreed to meet him alone. Rachel said that was fine. When I got home, I made sure. I sent Jim a text laying down some ground rules. We would meet somewhere public. If he said anything inappropriate, I would leave. No lying, absolutely no contacting Rachel. I also told him that I'd only give him one more shot, that he had honestly lost my love and would have to work to regain it, that he would likely never have an actual conversation with Rachel again, that I wouldn't ever forget what he did, but could maybe move past it, and that there weren't any guarantees. He sent me a text saying, "I understand, I'm so sorry." My parents wanted me to talk to him this Sunday, also my birthday. I told them I wasn't prepared to do that. I'm still pretty angry, and that I wouldn't start seeing him monthly until next year after the wedding. I don't know if I expect him to be genuinely trying to be a better person. I'm not counting on it. At least this way, if he screws up, my parents won't have an excuse to pick him over me. Also, if he does screw up before next year, I'll know that he wasn't sincere. Once we got back home, I asked my fiancée if she was okay with this course of action. She said she liked it. I once again asked if she wanted to involve the authorities, but she said she didn't want to. She's been adamant about it this whole time. She was a little upset about my parents not being there, but I calmed her down and we went to bed. I feel great right now, knowing what's going to happen. I guess I'm not that upset about my parents not going. They did tell me that they still loved me, and our wedding is going to be pretty small and intimate. My older brother's coming back into the country for it. That's all I really cared about, and he said he'd be there no matter what. We're actually going to spend a year with him overseas after we graduate. We're not having a traditional honeymoon. As for the sexting advice that came up in the comments, Rachel and I had our first real conversation about it. We downloaded KeepSafe. We also decided to go to Best Buy tonight and get a camcorder. So thanks for that. Probably wouldn't have happened if we didn't have this conversation. Told her my brother told my parents everything and asked for help. I'm not that optimistic about it, but he might become a better man, we'll see. My parents are a little upset he's not allowed at our wedding, assuming he sticks with getting help. R will also not attend if he doesn't, but told me they still loved me. Next year I'm going to see about meeting with my brother once a month for around an hour. Rachel said that she likes this plan, but if it makes her uncomfortable ever, I'll just cut Jim out of my life for good. I just want to say thanks to everyone who gave me advice. I really took everything into consideration. Relevant comment. Montaron 87 TD. Wow, the fact that they're siding with him on your wedding is crazy. Everything else seems pretty okay, but they're basically punishing you for his bad behavior. OOP. Yeah, it kinda sucks, but we're having a really small ceremony and reception at my fiancé's parents' house, so it'll free up some room. Best case scenario, some of my cousins who I don't know also don't show up. Story 12. Aida for refusing to pay my sister's wedding expenses after she called my child a mistake. Hi guys, so I created a profile just for this. I have a main account I use for my art. I don't really know how to post on this sub though, so please excuse any mistakes. Also, I think it's important to give a TW, as this had violence and death involved, and I know from personal experience that it can be triggering, so I F32 Deanna, am the eldest of 5 siblings, and I've taken on the role of the family caretaker for as long as I can remember. I helped our parents until their passing, and frankly, it's exhausting. Dad died of brain cancer 3 years ago, and it was heartbreaking to watch him deteriorate over time, and Mom passed peacefully overnight after a long, hard battle with breast cancer earlier this year. Fuck cancer. So, as the oldest, I just sort of became the de facto parent. I don't mind as I love my siblings, and it's kind of my thing to big sister friends and family a lot. I'm sort of ship's counselor, and I financially help out my family. I don't mind as I work in tech, have a side gig doing art, and inherited land and money from Mom and Dad. All that to say it's no real loss. A few years ago, I adopted my cousin's Charlie M45 child, who I will just use her nickname Decker. My baby loves kickboxing. After my cousin went to prison for murdering the Decker's mother in an alcohol and drug-fueled rage, which is too long a story to add here. It was a chaotic year of mourning, paperwork, and court hearings, but the adoption was finalized when the Decker was 5. Now she's a happy, healthy 13-year-old who calls me Mom. She's in therapy, and has been since I legally could send her as she witnessed her mother's death, and I couldn't be prouder of how resilient she is. She's my girl, my rock star, my whole heart, and I call her that. Literally, my heart. Fast forward to my sister's Clara F30 upcoming wedding. I was thrilled for her at first, and she asked me to be MOH. I cried in joy and offered for my wife Honey, because we like the incredible LOL F40, and I to pay for it. Don't worry, I asked Honey first. But during a bachelorette dinner I set up, she made a hurtful comment about my daughter, calling her a mistake and saying I shouldn't have taken her in. I stared at her and asked her what she meant, and she said it wasn't like I was supposed to even have kids, as I am married to another woman. Then said, no hate or anything, and laughed, but then she doubled down that Decker is likely damaged and a handful. Guys, Decker is the sweetest child alive. I mean, she is a teen, so yeah, sometimes she can get challenging or rebellious here or there, but when I say she is my whole heart, I mean it. She made us a family and made our house a home. She smiles easy, cries openly, and has the emotional intelligence I wish I had myself. She always asks, "How are you doing?" And she really means it, willing to listen to people, but she's a damaged mistake. I felt like a character in a dark, twisted episode of a sci-fi show. Defending my choice to adopt felt like fighting the Borg, like I just wouldn't assimilate. I didn't laugh it off with my sister and her friends. I just stared at her in pure disbelief. I think she knew I was hurt because she quickly changed the subject. I said I better get home, paid for everything and 3 more rounds, and went home to my family. My sister came over the next day to yell at me for leaving and cutting them off after the 3 rounds I paid for. She said I owe her a do-over for ruining the whole weekend because I can't take a joke. Honey, who I of course told what happened, asked my sister to repeat exactly what she said about our daughter. My sister refused and kept calling Decker Charlie's child, and I just was holding back so many tears. I told my sister that I wouldn't be contributing a dime to her wedding expenses, that I won't stop helping her pay her rent up until she moves in with her husband, but I won't be in or pay for the wedding of a person who sees my child as a mistake. Honestly, I was ready to go full-on Jedi and sever that connection, but Honey helped me temper myself. My sister lost it, threw the can of soda water we gave her at me, screamed, "How am I supposed to pay for this?" And I said, "You have over a year you can save up." So left, shoving Honey out of the way in the process, and blew up our sibling group chat. My other siblings are split. Some think I'm overreacting with cutting off funds for the wedding, while others agree that my sister crossed a line and needed the wake-up call. Now, I feel bad for my sister. I do love her, and she is distressed by this, but I can't shake the feeling that standing up for my daughter is more important. Aita for refusing to pay for her wedding after that? I'm adding this in edit option. I've been working on my work project at a local brewery and have been silently sobbing in reading the comments. Also, wow, so many comments. I was trying to reply to everyone, but I honestly ran out of steam. I sent this post to my wife and also just bracing myself to talk to Decker tonight. We want to ask her if her aunt has done or said anything cruel to her about her. I am wishing hard that she's just confused by our questions and remain oblivious of this shitstorm. I love my heart. I want her to always remain the bright, fun, loving, encouraging person she is. I don't want her to know anything about what her aunt has said. I texted my sister if she meant this, if she really sees me, my wife, and our daughter that way, or was she just drunk and stupid and doubled down in embarrassment? That said, I don't want her near Decker anytime soon. I feel so lost. I wasn't planning on ever being a parent, and there is no fucking manual for this. What the fuck do I even do? Wish me luck for tonight. I will need it because if Decker tells us her aunt has been cruel to her face, I will have to hold my wife back from swinging on my sister. Update September 29th, 2024, next day. I'm trying to keep this short. Honey and I took Decker out to the local Oktoberfest celebrations. She had a blast, did crafts, danced to music, had beer, it was not beer, in a pint glass, and generally had a great time. On the ride home, my wife broached the long-awaited topic. We asked her how she felt about Grandma's passing, then went into how everyone handles things differently. We asked if Mama, me, or Mommy, Honey, ever was hurtful, and she named a couple moments we've been snappy, or wouldn't let her do things, like a party at 2 a.m. But no, nothing else. We asked about Clara, and she got quiet. Honey just looked at me, but I was driving, so I just said, "You can tell us anything, Goober, you know that." And she clammed up. I got my girls home and hugged my heart Decker and went to the den. About 2 hours later, my wife came downstairs to me and said Decker is in bed but no asleep and I should talk to her. I asked why, and she simply said that Decker is willing to talk about it. I went up. Decker was ready for bed, in her PJs, reading. I just sat down on the side of the bed and asked her how she was. She just said, "Mom told you, huh?" I told her I didn't know anything, and Decker then said that Clara makes her uncomfortable and said hurtful things. When my wife and I weren't around, Clara would call her the lost puppy or the stray, and once Decker remembers her to have told her to her face, "You're not real family," and that once Honey and I get a real child, we will dump her. I can't explain the rage. The absolute, total, and complete red I saw as my daughter broke down telling me that she behaves so well and is so obsessed with grades, so she can prove she is worth loving, worth keeping. After calling my wife, we sat her down and told her that she is the best thing that ever happened to us, and that even if we do have more children, she is our firstborn and our love. I cried and held her, telling her she was my whole heart, and that nothing will ever change that. She saved us, and I am so proud of her and us and all we've grown to become. I can't ever stop loving her. Neither can her mom. We love her more than air. That will never change. Then I explained that Auntie was wrong for this. Auntie is jealous of her. Jealous of how much we love her. Auntie needs help, but we can't give that help, so she won't be around for a while. Decker asked us to stop talking to her like a child, so I was blunt. She's my sister, and I love her. You're my daughter, and I love you more. I told her my sister was wrong and hateful. I'm sorry that she didn't feel she could come to her mom or I. But she can, every time, anytime. We will choose her, always. Decker asked me if it's her fault I hate Clara, and I just told her hate is a choice and I don't hate Clara. I do love her, but sometimes loving a person means you correct them. Actions have consequences. My daughter got quiet and handed me her phone, and Clara had been texting her awful things since she left my home. I can't even type them because I want to throw things, but it's when I read my fucking sister texting my teenage daughter, "Go tell your so-called mom like a snitch and prove me right." I took a screenshot and texted it to myself. Decker fell asleep around midnight, and my wife and I went to bed. I texted my sister the screenshot and said, "You come into my home as my sister and treat my child like this? No. Mom and Dad would be ashamed of you. This is not how you treat any child, let alone your own niece. I have loved you since as long as I can remember. I know you were not raised to treat children so terribly. But as of now, you are not accepted in my home. You will not speak to or contact me, my wife, or my child. I will give you the money for October, Clara, but November on, that's your responsibility. I am no longer going to help. I'm sorry. This breaks my heart. But you crossed a serious and unforgivable line. Decker is my daughter. I am her mom. Do not doubt me here, and I want to be clear. If you ever come sideways at my family again, or contact my daughter at all, I will take legal recourse. From today on, we are low contact. If you try to make this into a bigger issue, it will be no contact. If you don't understand, here are resources to help spell it out. I love you, D. Update 2 October 2nd, 2024, 3 days after first update. Update 2. Ada for refusing to pay my sister's wedding expenses after she called my child a mistake. Edit to add the same trigger warnings as before. Sorry for forgetting. My brain is chaotic. TW. Abuse, self-harm, substance abuse, death, violence. I kept my promise to my wife to wait before reacting. She knows me best and knew I was prepared to go nuclear. Turns out, I needn't have bothered. Let me clear up a couple of small details and misconceptions I've read. I am the eldest of the siblings. Mom and Dad have been sick for years on and off. So to those who think I've just started taking over as some weird power trip or something, no. I've managed their finances, maintained their properties, and taken care of all their affairs before either of them passed. Dad simply wasn't mentally able after a while, and Mom never had a head for that sort of thing. Yes, I was mostly left in charge of my siblings growing up. Both my parents had businesses and worked often 7-day weeks. I cooked dinner and helped with homework and whatnot. I'm aware that's not very normal, and I already know some of you will call my parents terrible for this, but they simply didn't know better. I won't hate them for any of it, and as much as it caused me some negative effects, it also made my siblings feel safe. I'm proud of being able to protect them and be there for them when they were young so they didn't feel how I felt. And yes, I am also in therapy. I was the sole caretaker of my parents when they passed. The reasons are complicated, but the short of it is, Dad got verbally abusive towards the end and Mom got severely depressed and blunt. They were a challenge to deal with on the best of days. I hold no ill will towards them, but there it is. My siblings didn't want to be around them. Dad was hurt and changed his will. Mom followed suit. For those telling me I am rewarding Clara by paying for literally this month, and that I'm not a real mom or a bad mom by loving my daughter's tormentor, I'm envious your world is so black and white. Rent is literally due today, and the money was already in transfer to her via auto banking. And Clara isn't getting rewarded. She is remaining housed. But from now on, she's on her own. Clara and I used to be pretty close, but she did get distant around the time Decker was adopted. I didn't know exactly why, just that the new dynamic was a challenge for her. I know she hates Charlie and considers him evil and irredeemable. She had a really hard time losing our cousin-in-law, Decker's biological mother, as they were very close, so I assume her issues stem from this. I inherited the majority of everything, though my siblings got sizable sums. 3 got all but one of the businesses my parents owned, and everyone got trusts. Clara spiraled after Mom passed and had a mental health crisis. Before we got her help, she traveled, drank, and gambled away her entire inheritance. Long story for another time. I didn't have a moment to cool down and wait until today to give myself a chance to make a level-headed decision regarding my sister. Clara has spun the tale that I am jealous she found a loving man and am withholding Mom and Dad's money from her. She gave the perception that I was the one abusing Decker, putting her down, and telling her she isn't my real daughter. That shut down when I sent my text a couple days ago. Yesterday, Clara was on my doorstep. She was crying and begging for me to let her in. But my wife and her friends were inside, and I made it clear I don't want her near my family, as she emotionally abused my daughter and physically harmed my wife. I told her to leave or I would call the police to have her removed. I was going to call the police anyway because I told her never to come to our home again, and there she was. There's a reason I said this in text, so I could, in an event like this, show them clear as day that she would know she is welcome. Clara started to beg, saying she will apologize to Decker, and she was drunk and upset and made mistakes. I could tell she was drunk, or high, or something. I told her it's not a simple mistake to bully a traumatized teen girl and make her feel unloved and unwanted by her own family, and to text her that she is worthless and expendable. What the fuck? I got angry and just started to raise my voice. I don't know when I started to yell, but I did. I just lost it. She's a cold-hearted, awful, self-serving brat, spoiled beyond belief to being so delusional that this all would just go away. She's entitled to the money my wife and I make, that our parents gave us after all she did. She needs fucking help, and I am done being the giving tree here. You don't ever hurt my child. She's lucky I have a head to keep my hands to myself, and luckier still. Honey isn't out here because she certainly would not so go the fuck home." Clara slapped me across the face and called me a bitch and a traitor, that I choose that demon spawn of a child over her, that I love Decker more than my own real family and turn my back on her this way. Honey must have been right by the door, because before I could make a very bad choice, she had yanked me inside, told my sister that she had 60 seconds to fuck off, and slammed the door closed. Clara left quickly, but we still called the police and handed over the footage from our property cameras of what happened, as well as the texts from our phones. Clara went ballistic over text telling me awful things, ending with her hoping I take my own life and she would celebrate. Absolutely unhinged, awful shit like that. I blocked her, sent every piece of footage in a Google Drive, and dropped the link in the sibling group chat and sent it to Kevin, her fiancé. I then sat down and cried myself into a fit before Decker came home from practice. I put on my mom face for her and made sure she did her homework. Then I went to the den and called my aunt, Decker's biological grandmother, and told her what happened. My aunt told me that Clara is renewing her conspiracy that I harming Decker, and that I need to be careful because she suspects Clara is having some sort of mental break and might do something crazy. Honey and I have spent this whole day working on a request for a protective order from her, making sure Decker's school knows no one is to pick her up but us, and get a lawyer because I think legal action is needed here. I told my eldest of the brothers that Clara needs help and asked if he could check on her because she might be as much a danger to herself as she is now presenting to be to me and my family. He got quiet and said, "Can't you handle this?" and said this drama was too much and he's busy. I was so stunned I just blurted out, "Are you fucking kidding me right now?" before I just hung up. My other sister is now over helping me deal with this. My other brother has gone to see after Clara, but says he will only make sure she hasn't hurt herself, but beyond that, she can get wrecked for what she's done. Kevin called me and said he went through the Google Drive and begged me not to call the police on Clara. He said that she has been having a really bad time and has struggled with drinking and has been stealing his medications, and he's trying to get her help. But if she gets arrested, he doesn't have the funds for bail PR, any legal help. I told him it's too late. The police have been called and he needs to get her into some sort of rehab or something. He asked for our help to pay for a facility he was thinking of, and I told him to keep her away from me and my family. He started to cry and told me I'm an awful sister, that I don't care about Clara and her struggles, and that she's just lost and he's underwater trying to keep her from going off a deep end. I didn't reply after that and have just been sitting around the house waiting for the police to call back, trying to get my crying out for the way before Decker comes home from school. I feel wretched and terrible because no matter what I do now, it will just never feel right. I was to look after them all, and now my sister is this lunatic hell-bent on burning my life down, and my brother is alarmingly just indifferent to it all. I am used to being the one that holds the family together and handle things, but I don't feel like I can handle anything anymore. WTF is my life? Relevant comment. Peaches, 728. You are in a tough situation. Someone will have hurt feelings no matter what choice you make. At the end of the day, you must do what is best for your family, wife, and child. It's hard letting go of family when you know they will flounder, but you don't want to sink with them. I bet your parents wouldn't want you to either. OP. Oh, my mother would be furious with me right now. I can almost hear her berating me in the back of my skull, telling me Kevin is right, and I am supposed to take care of them, not turn my back on any of them, and to forgive because we are family. And that's what family does. It's killing me. But it helps watching Decker. She's out back in the pool now that her homework is done, and she's chatting away with Honey while I work on dinner. I've been staring at bell peppers for like 15 minutes, battling my mom in my head with, "But look at her. She's safe and happy. Wouldn't you want that?" Even spoonier. "Sounds like you're doing the right thing, but yikes." I'm not sure that helping pay for rehab is a bad idea, as long as it's an inpatient facility, and there's a court order in place that will help govern when she can leave. The most important thing is keeping her away from your family. This would accomplish that, while also allowing you to say that she needs help and you're helping her get it. And who knows? Maybe she'll actually get the help she needs. OP. I really hope she does get help, but right now I am focused on my daughter, WND wife. She was off the rails enough to strike me. It's not a full-on attack, but if she's capable of all of this, I don't know what she might do to my family, and right now she's hyper-fixated on us, and Decker in particular. She has my other siblings and her fiancé, so I will let them handle this for now. I'm more concerned for the safety of my home. I know that sounds terrible, and maybe I am, but I just don't have the extra space in my mind to deal with this. New update. Update 3 December 7th, 2024. Edit. Sorry I forgot the TWs. Self-harm, depression, essay. Too tired to do the song and dance, so if you want the rundown, it's on my account. I think I just desperately need to write this out. We went NC with the whole of my side of the family about a month and a half ago, aside from my other sister, not Clara. Decker has been in therapy, and frankly, so have I and Honey both individually, and a bi-weekly couples therapy session. A lot has changed. I didn't realize how much the abuse I suffered at the hands of my uncle really affected me. His reaction to Decker never bothered me or really had a stake in my emotional or mental state, but more that my mother made me forgive him and be polite when he was around. It's always been that way. I was the eldest, so I turned the other cheek until I had no cheeks, then I turned the old ones. I was never really permitted to have negative emotions or get angry. This situation with Clara blew a lot of dust up, and Honey and I started to have issues. She noted how reserved I tend to be, and even with her, I struggle with asking for what I want or expression displeasure. I shut down or deflect. It sucks to learn this about yourself when the rest of your world is falling apart. Clara was arrested for my assault and ended up doing a mental health program for a month rather than getting a conviction. As such, her record is clean of that from what I understand. It was hard cutting her and the others off. My other sister was the one keeping me up to date on everything. Clara got out a while ago. She's been trying to get in touch every way she can. She got a new number, email, Facebook, even TikTok. She's written and mailed numerous letters. I am exhausted because I hate cutting everyone off. It's so isolating always having my siblings around, and now only really having one sister so suddenly is really lonely. I focus on Decker and Honey. Honey seems happier overall. She's dancing in the kitchen again, is more affectionate with me, and is more excited to go out and do things. And Decker is also happier. We've focused less on her grades and praise her more for her sense of kindness, her stick-to-it attitude, and more. She's more open with me in particular. She talks about crushes and friends more now, shares about the intricate life of a teen. Well, it's really very cute. I'm not so okay, but my family is safe and happy, which is what matters. Clara's fiancé, Kevin, reached out to me 2 days ago. Clara has been released and has been out for a week or so, it sounds like, but she still has outpatient rehab to do. It's encouraged for her to have family and to be supported, Kevin says, and he says she isn't doing well. She started talking about self-harm, and she confided in him that the same uncle that abused me abused her. He's begging me to talk to her and help her through this. He keeps reminded me of how she was before all this and how close we were. Calling what we were close may be incorrect, because based on what I'm learning, our relationship was toxic from the start. I was an enabling sister to a manipulative and narcissistic one. I held my ground and spoke to Honey, who agrees I should keep NC and block Kevin and simply rely on my other sister for info. But I can't help but feel guilty. I wish Clara well, but I can't risk cracking the door open and risk the well-being of my family. I think I just feel alone. I know I can't have her in my life anymore. It just hurts. Sorry for the delay in update. And to those who have been gentle or at least firm but fair with me in my private messages, I thank you. There was never a manual on how to be a good wife or mother, and I have lived an existence of feeling so out of my depth. I appreciate the support. Story 13. Eta for yelling at a person with special needs at the gym. I, 29M, have been going to the same gym for the past 10 years. There are a number of trainers that appear to work exclusively with people that have special needs, both physically and mentally. They work in one-to-one sessions, trainers showing them how to use each machine safely and putting together an exercise program for them, And they're also often accompanied by a guardian. I want to say straight away that I have zero issues with this at all. I love going to the gym, and it's great to see others enjoying it too. As long as everyone is working out in a safe way, everything is fine. I've seen what I would call a few near misses, with weights being dropped close to others, or machines being used improperly, but I've never seen anyone be seriously hurt. So today, I entered the gym and walked past a trainer I hadn't seen before. She was with a guy that I had seen a few times before. I'm not sure what his condition is, so I apologize if any of the following sounds offensive. I don't intend for it to, I'm just explaining what happened. As I walked past, he was loudly counting the number of reps he was doing on the leg press. I continued over to the dumbbells, got set up at a bench, and started my workout. After a couple of sets, the guy came over and stood just next to my bench, about a meter away from me, just staring at me. His trainer was still over at the leg press on her phone. It was a little awkward with him standing there, but he wasn't in my way, so I don't say anything. As soon as I pick up the weight from the bench, he sits down on the bench. As I noticed what he was doing, I just said, "I'm using that bench, mate." But he proceeds to start doing sit-ups, and again loudly counts them out. So this guy is lying back on my towel, wallet, and phone. I repeat again, "Mate, I'm using this one," as I put down the weights and try to pull my belongings out from under his sweaty back. I guess hearing the counting, the trainer notices what happened and came over and apologizes. I just give a nod, but don't say anything. I wasn't exactly impressed that she wasn't keeping a better eye on him. I moved a few benches over and thought that was the end of it. Next, I was on the bench press, so holding a large amount of weight over my chest. The guy comes over again and stands right next to bench in line to my face, right where I need to put the weights back on the rack, just staring down at me. Again, I said calmly, "You need to move, mate. I need to put the weight down." He just stared at me, half smiling. I asked him twice more, and he just continued staring, not a single sign that he had understood or even heard me. So I called out loudly for help. Luckily, the trainer heard, again coming over to apologize and pull him out of the way. I put the weight back, and then said to her that she needs to keep an eye on him, because he's going to end up getting himself seriously hurt. Some time passes without incident. They're on the other side of the gym, and I'm on one of the cable machines doing tricep push-downs. I get to my last rep of my last set, and just as I push down, 50 kg/110 lbs of metal raised in the air. From out of nowhere, this guy lets out a huge scream and lunges at the raised weight stack in front of me. Now this is what went through my head in the moment. I'm on my last rep, so I probably had about 2 seconds that I could hold the weight before my muscles failed and the weight came crashing down. With that weight, there was a good chance that he would be seriously injured. Lost, crushed finger, broken hand, arm, etc. I knew that my last attempts of speaking calmly had yielded zero response from him, and I didn't have time to call for his negligent trainer to come and help. I screamed at the top of my lungs, "Get away from it!" The guy jumped back like he'd had the fright of his life. I lowered the weights and immediately turned around, enraged and looking for the trainer. Well, she was already on the way over, no doubt because she'd heard me yell. "What the hell are you doing? Did you see what he just did?" I ask, as the guy starts loudly crying. She comes over and asks why I would yell at him since he doesn't know any better. I again asked if she'd seen what happened, and that he was almost seriously hurt. And yeah, he didn't know better, which is exactly why she should have been there to watch him. I guess the guy's guardian, maybe his mother, unsure, had heard everything as well. She came in, and the trainer immediately tells her that I yelled at him for standing too close. I tried explaining that he was almost seriously hurt, and that he wasn't being supervised properly. We went back and forth, but both the trainer and guardian were not satisfied with my explanation, calling me an asshole for raising my voice to him like that. Next thing I know, they've called one of the other trainers from the gym, who told me to leave, and that they'd be suspending my membership before I was able to explain to him my side of the story. I plan to speak to the manager, or another trainer tomorrow, and I'm hoping that it was captured clearly enough on CCTV that I can get my membership back. I know from the title of this post it sounds bad, but with everything else, I don't really think I had any other option. Am I the asshole? Some of OOP's comments. Commenter, NTA. Your reaction was instinctive in a potentially dangerous situation. The trainer's negligence was the issue. Explain your side to the manager. OP. Yes, thank you. I'll be pushing hard to get them to review it properly, then next closest gym is miles away from me. Commenter. I'm curious. How often was his trainer slow in coming over because she was on her phone every time? Make sure the manager knows that part. I've never seen such an inattentive trainer. Shame on her, and I hope she loses her job. OP. Pretty much every time I looked over, she was on her phone. When I was on the bench, though, I couldn't see her since I was lying down, but I think it's safe to assume that's what she was distracted by. Update post, December 9th, 2024, same day, 15 hours later. Editor's note, keep in mind these are in my time zone, so this is probably the next day for OOP. Had a lot of people asking for an update, so here it is. Original link, https://www.reddit.com/r/eta_for_special_yelling_with_person_RDT=63324. Thank you everyone for the advice. I'm a stress head, so I was playing the events over and over in my head all last night. Your comments helped keep me calm and feel more positive about the whole thing. So, for the update, I went by the gym this morning and asked to speak to a manager about what happened yesterday. They agreed to see me. I explained everything as I had in my post and asked if they could review the CCTV to see what actually happened and possibly reinstate my membership. I said that I believed the trainer yesterday had misrepresented what happened, as a lot of you pointed out, to hide the fact that she was not neglecting the guy she was meant to be supervising. Surprisingly, he said that this wasn't the first time they had received complaints about that trainer. He said she'd only been there 2 weeks and has already had a complaint from both a client and another trainer from the gym, though he didn't go into detail about what those complaints were. He said to leave it with him and he'd get back to me. About an hour ago, I got a call from the manager, saying he'd reviewed the footage and it was consistent with my story. The first 2 interactions I had with him, with the dumbbells and on the bench press, were clear in the footage. The third time was apparently obscured by some other equipment, but he said it was enough to see the guy approach me from behind without the trainer, and he was willing to take my word about what happened next. My gym membership had been reinstated, and they've given me the next 2 months free. I think I'll be putting that money I saved towards a nice bottle of whiskey. He also said not to worry about the trainer. She won't be around anymore. So I think it's safe to assume she lost her job. Hopefully this is a wake-up call for her, and she won't be putting anyone else in harm's way in the future. Thank you again all for the support and advice. Story 14. Employer rejected me, then sent a list of everything I did wrong. I'm a younger person who is job searching for something full-time for the first time. Haven't been having a lot of luck, of course, due to the state of the world, but I recently got an interview where I made it all the way to the final round and was rejected. At first, the company was really professional about it. They were kind enough to let me know I'd been rejected and thank me for my time. But then, about 3 days later, I got an email from one of the interviewers. A different one than the one who sent the formal rejection email. The final round had been in front of a panel. The email body text said, "Hey, here's some tips for future interviews." And attached was a Word document with a super detailed list of everything I'd done wrong, including that my answer to the question, "What's your favorite book?" was too pretentious. Note: the job wasn't for a library or any other book-related field. Although he'd been part of the final round interview panel, he hadn't been present during previous interviews, and this was the first communication I got directly from this guy. Here are all the comments from the document. It was a financial stock company, but the job wasn't directly connected to stocks. Copywriter position writing some ads, website update. I can tell you are not passionate about stocks. Every member of this company has been passionately investing in the stock market as a hobby for years. You had basic technical knowledge and that's it. In general, you seem to lack passion. Your answers are very thorough and well thought out, but lack passion. What are you passionate about? I couldn't tell. You were clearly nervous throughout. You lack confidence. When asked about an issue you had overcome, you mentioned something that had happened in a job not related to our industry. You didn't seem to have an interest in company culture. We mentioned we are a company with lots of events and training workshops, and you didn't ask any further questions there. Your response to the favorite book question sounded pretentious and insincere. Les Miserables simply isn't a book people read for fun. You weren't enjoying yourself at all. We're a friendly company, and you were tense and nervous the entire time we talked to you. You let your nerves show. Is this normal? It's left me feeling really terrible. According to him, I did so many things wrong. It's killing my confidence. Hearing that I lack passion is really scary. I'm scared it will affect me in the job search going forward. It's not an issue I ever thought I had, but now it is something that worries me daily. Update December 5th, 2024, 3 years later. 3 or so years ago, I emailed you concerned about an interviewer who had sent me feedback for a job I didn't get, including saying I lacked passion and some other stuff. I was the one whose favorite book was Les Miserables, and he said I was pretentious. As many commenters guessed, he was trying to hit on me in a negging sort of way. He later tried to ask me out via LinkedIn DMs. Needless to say, it did not work. It took a while and many other unsuccessful interviews, none of which were as rough as that one, but I eventually found a job in a field I had never considered, where I could put my writing skills to work with much less of a bro culture, compared to writing for stocks, finances. I'm still in the job, got a huge promotion this year, and have even written articles about how great of a book Les Miserables is. It's still my favorite, and I still reread it regularly. What prompted me to think of sending you an update is this. I recently, as part of my job, interviewed a longtime idol of mine, a celebrity I have looked up to for years, and he said to me at the end of the interview, apropos of nothing, that he had read some of my previous work and could tell how passionate I was about my writing, and that he was so happy to be interviewed by someone so passionate about their work. As for Mr. Interview feedback, no idea how he's doing, and no desire to know, but I'm in my dream job and happier than I ever thought I could be. Thank you again for all of your advice. Story 15. The guy I'm dating, 36 per M, has a shrine to my 37F ex-husband in his house. I was married for 7 years to a celebrity. I put it in quotes BC, while most of you have never heard of him. He is A-list in the world of metal music. If you're a metal head, you 100% know who he is. We split amicably BC, he was always going on tour. I used to love going with him, but the thrill of it wore off, and I found myself sick of traveling so much. Because of this, we grew apart, but still keep in contact occasionally. BC, despite the fact our marriage didn't work, he is a really cool, nice person. 2 weeks ago, I met a guy through a friend that I immediately hit it off with. We have been on 3 dates so far. The first 2 dates were drinks after work. He showed up in nice khakis and a button-down both times. On our latest date, I went to his house to watch a movie. Literally watch a movie. We are taking the physical stuff slow, lol. He has a nice house, so I asked for a tour. After he showed me the upstairs, he said he had to show me his game room. We went down into a fully furnished basement with a pool table, a minibar, and darts. But there was something very weird down there also. Apparently, my new man is really into metal music. Would never have guessed based on how he dresses, lol. And his favorite artist of all time is, you guessed it, my ex-husband. He had framed posters of all of my ex's bands, autographed signature guitars. Every record he has ever released were framed on the walls. He even had magazine articles about him and some of his bands framed. Every wall in his game room was covered with my ex's face and his signature guitars. So I may have messed up here, but I kept my mouth shut and didn't say anything. He knows I'm divorced, but he definitely doesn't know it's from his idol. We are seeing each other tonight for our 4th date, and I know I need to tell him, but how? I really like this guy, but I'm afraid if I tell him, he will freak out and run. What should I say? Where should I tell him? I just don't want to damage our relationship, BC. I can really see it becoming long-term. I know I should have told him at his house, but honestly, I was in shock. Anybody know how to approach this? TLDR. The guy I just started dating is obsessed with my ex-husband and his music. He has no idea that he's my ex, and I'm not sure how to tell him. Relevant comment. Pagan Princess, 666. I find it really hard to believe that he has a shrine of your ex-husband to the level you're describing, but doesn't know who you are. Maybe I'm jaded, but it seems too coincidental and potentially unsafe for you. OP. A lot of people are saying this, and now I am a little freaked out. I mean, he can Google him and find out we were married. Now I'm scared he did. I'm going to ask my friend that introduced us if she told him. Shanashi, have you ever been in photos with your ex-husband that this new guy might have seen? I find it hard to believe that in this day and age, that he wouldn't know who the former wife of his idol is. OP. This never dawned on me until I posted it, but there are pictures of us all over the internet. Now I'm a little freaked out that he already knew. Sorry, Lil Sis. If he's such a fan, he knows you. OP. Yeah, I think you guys are all correct, and I don't think I should continue seeing him. I'm beginning to think it is not a coincidence at all. Spawnbroker. Yes, this is a potentially dangerous situation for you. Crazed fans can and do harass family members of their idols. I know it sucks and you really like this guy, but if this guy is a stalker, he could be targeting you to get your ex-husband's attention. OP. Thank you for your concern. After reading these comments, I'm going to break it off. I can't believe it didn't occur to me that he already knew. Elaine Marie Seinfeld. I think that's safest. The chances of him not knowing who you were married to are pretty slim. I could understand if it was a band he'd never heard of, but his favorite band artist? No way. Hardy _ Whoa, aren't you going to check with his side of the story too? He might have no idea. OP. Yeah, I'm going to go through with our dinner date tonight and talk to him about it. Cotton Candy _ Cook. He met you though, friends, and is obsessed with your ex-husband? Yeah, he definitely knows who you are. It would be hard to spend a lot of time tracking down signed memorabilia, etc., without ever getting a glimpse of a name or a pic of his favorite celebrity's wife. Like, someone that has spent this much time and effort following and Googling your ex-husband absolutely would know about wives, divorces, etc. I would talk to the friend that introduced you and ask them if they know who your ex-husband is, and ask if the guy specifically asked to get an opportunity to meet you. OP. I called my friend and she says she didn't tell him, but after reading these responses I realized he could Google him and find pictures of us together. Now I'm weirded out. Banana with 3 legs. Did she know he was a fan? It's weird to me that he specifically wanted to show you that room. It makes me feel like he already knew. When he showed you, did it look like he was watching you for a reaction? OP, can you update us with how this all turns out? OP. He didn't seem to be looking for a reaction. He just looked really excited to show off his game room. Update January 19th, 2019, 8 days later. Copy of the update, Twitter. Well, after getting a huge range of answers, some of which were kind of frightening, I decided to give the new guy the benefit of the doubt and go ahead with our dinner date that night. Our 4th date. So I met him at the restaurant and we had some wine first. We were just talking and chatting, and I realized that I had to bring up the ex-husband thing. So while we were both 2 glasses of wine in, I decided to just ask him flat out if he knew that I was previously married to his favorite musician. He laughed nervously and said, "Yes, I knew, but my friend didn't tell me." I figured it out. He told me essentially that he found out through the grapevine and he decided to start mingling with my friends so he could meet me. He told me that yes, at first it was just BC, I was married to his idol, but that now he is really developing feelings for me. I thought it was a little odd, but I felt fine with it, until I remembered his man cave basement. I asked him if he knew I was married to his favorite musician. Then why TF would he bring me down there to show me all of the memorabilia? His response was too weird for me. He said, "I was trying to see if you would confess." I was like, "Confess to what?" And he said to my being married to my ex. I told him that I thought it was pretty concerning that he tried to trick me into some weird confession, and that I didn't think we would work out. He accepted it and didn't seem upset or anything. Dinner had already been served, so we started eating when he proceeded to bombard me with questions about my ex. When is he releasing new material? What is his favorite band? What does he do during the day of a show? Is he vegan? What's his mother's maiden name? Okay, so I made up the last one, LOL, blah blah blah. Finally, he could sense my discomfort, and we ended the dinner and parted ways. He said he would text me the next day just as friends, which I said was okay. Well, his text the next day was trying to get him and his friends VIP passes when my ex comes near us to play. I did not respond, and I blocked his number because he kept texting again and again, begging me for the hookup. It was desperate and weird. Anyway, I called my ex to warn him about this dude, even though he seems harmless. He doesn't know where I live, and I didn't get any psycho vibes. I think he just wanted me as a trophy, as some user put in my last post. Oh, thanks Reddit. TLDR. It turns out the guy I was dating was way more into my semi-famous ex more than he was into me, and he gave me weird vibes, so I ended it, even as friends. Story 16. My 24F boyfriend, 26M, of 1.5 wires just scheduled and paid for a cosmetic medical procedure for my lady regions without my knowledge or consent. What now? Hello all! My boyfriend and I have been together for a year and a half. Overall, things are good. Occasionally, he has been overbearing, but he's working on it and has made great strides of improvement. We've lived together for around 6 months. The background. I have a mole on the outside of my vagina. It's about the size of a pencil eraser. It's never been a problem for me, and I don't mind it. It's hidden in even the skimpiest of bikini bottoms, doesn't hurt or get in the way of anything, isn't lumpy, doesn't grow any weird hair, etc. It's just a harmless little bump on the side of my vulva that I've had since I was born. Even when I'm entirely naked, it isn't visible unless my legs are spread, so it's the kind of thing only me and my sex partners have ever seen. I've had an inkling that my boyfriend has never been a fan of this mole, but he won't admit that. Sometimes he'll absent-mindedly rub it between his fingers with his nose crinkled, like an expression just short of disgust. But when I asked him about it, 2 different times, he insisted the not quite disgusted facial expression was unrelated. I assumed that he didn't like it, but knew it was none of his business or concern and probably didn't want to say it because he didn't want to sound rude. He's asked me once if I've ever thought about removing it, to which I replied that it's always been a part of me and I wasn't interested in removal. The problem. My birthday was a few weeks ago. I've been getting Brazilian waxes since I was a teenager. It's just my personal preference. As a birthday present, my boyfriend prepaid for almost a year's worth of waxes at the med spa I've always gone to. This seemed like a great gift, useful, thoughtful, and saves me a ton of money. This med spa does a variety of other services as well as waxing. They do tattoo removal, laser hair removal, makeup tattoos, Botox, etc. I've had a standing appointment there every 3 weeks for years. This morning I went to my regular appointment. My waxer, who I've known for years, gushed about how kind of my boyfriend it was to call in for my services, and we went about the wax as normal. There's an oil she uses that helps to soothe the skin after the wax, and I was waiting for that to soak in when she brought out a wand that I was not familiar with. I asked her what it was for, and she said, "The freezing." I assumed she was prepping for her next client and stayed on the table. Then she began wiping the oil off and applied a cream directly over my mole. At this point, I sat up and asked her what she was doing. "Oh, this cream helps to numb the area before I freeze the mole. Then we'll cut it off, and you'll just need a stitch or 2 and a bandage, and then you'll be ready to go." We fumbled through the awkward conversation that followed, and the bottom line is that my boyfriend had paid for my mole to be removed as well, $200, without telling me. The receptionist who books the appointments assumed that I knew, and I sign a yearly waiver for all services from them, so it was basically just slipped in. The receptionist said that my boyfriend asked about the process over the phone, so he was aware that this procedure involved cutting something off my body and would involve anesthetic and stitches. Guys, I'm furious, and cannot tell if my reaction is justified or if I'm seeing red for no real reason. This feels like such a breach of my personal boundaries, not to mention disrespectful of my bodily autonomy. I know it's small, but it's plastic surgery. There is no medical backing to having this mole removed. It would be entirely cosmetic. I obviously didn't go forward with the procedure, and now I'm struggling with whether my anger is appropriate to the situation. I have not talked to him about this yet. It happened this morning, and I will be seeing him this evening when I get home from work. Right now, I'm thinking of breaking up with him, but feel like that may be an overreaction and can't tell if my judgment is clouded. What would be an appropriate way to address this situation? TLDR. I have a small, inconspicuous mole on the side of my vulva. Boyfriend isn't a fan of it, but I had no interest in getting it removed. He paid for a year's worth of Brazilian waxes, that I've always gotten, for my birthday and tried to slip a mole removal procedure into my usual appointment without telling me. I was blindsided as they were about to start. This procedure involves anesthetic, cutting the mole off, and stitches on my vagina. I am livid and feel so disrespected. Can't tell if I'm overreacting for considering dumping him. Help! Relevant comment? Charles Abab. Okay, everyone has the whole livid at him and dump him covered, and I'm just going to talk about moles. Getting moles removed is a big deal, and something that should only ever be talked about actual medical doctors and dermatologists. Getting something cut off at a spa by your waxer is terrifying to me. Who was going to stitch you up? The manicurist? Geez, things can go wrong with moles so easily, and dermatologists recommend leaving them alone unless they're in place where they get irritated a lot. So glad you didn't get it removed. Leave them be. But do get them checked by a dermatologist periodically. OP. To be fair, med spa is a term for a plastic surgery center. They do a whole range of small plastic surgery, and a licensed plastic surgeon would have been doing the actual removal of the mole. My waxer was just prepping the equipment for the surgeon. I began going there for laser hair removal of my armpits as a teenager. After having a bad waxing experience at a normal salon, I decided to stick with the med spa because it felt a lot more professional and cleaner. I have no plans on getting it removed by anyone, though. I'll definitely be leaving it where it belongs, ha ha ha. Sabraji. Bruh. What the hell? I understand some people are squeamish about moles and other skin defects, but he hasn't expressed that. You asked him about it, already confirmed you're not interested in removing it. He said it's not an issue. And then this. I would be pissed as well. I have a low tolerance for stunts like this, and personally I would walk. He's blatantly ignored your wishes, and I guess he was hoping that you'd either A, be so happy and grateful that your BF wants to make you better, gag, or B, you'd realize how much he doesn't like it, and out of embarrassment or the duty of being a good GF would go through with it. Good riddance to that $200, jerk. OP. The thing that sucks is that I considered the second option for longer than I'd like to admit. I suddenly felt very ashamed and ugly and like it needed to be fixed. I started crying a little and felt so stupid. Now that I've had a few hours to think about it, I think I'm most upset at how it made me feel. Update January 30th, 2018, next day. Copy of the update. Update. First off, I just wanted to thank everyone for their support and validation of what I was feeling. I was second-guessing myself and feeling like I was overreacting, but after more reflection, and what happened later on in the evening, I feel so vindicated in my anger. I got home, and he nonchalantly asked me how my appointment went. I managed to stay calm and told him how angry I was that he had tried to arrange for the mole to be removed without my consent knowledge, especially because I found out that he was informed while booking the appointment that it would involve anesthetic and stitches. He said that he wasn't sorry because he thought he was doing me a favor by forcing me to bite the bullet and get it done. He said the only thing that he was sorry about was signing my name on the waiver because he knows he should not have done that. Record scratch. Wait. What? At my appointment, my waxer had said something along the lines of, "But you signed the waiver?" When I was blindsided by her prepping for the mole removal. She was confused that I was not aware of the mole removal plan. I had assumed she was talking about the waiver I had signed just a few weeks ago that I have to sign every year for my services performed at the med spa. I was in a hurry to get out of there, so I didn't press further, just made it clear that I did not want a mole removal and gathered my clothes and left. As it turns out, she was not talking about the annual general waiver. When my boyfriend booked the appointment, a waiver was emailed over, which he signed as me and sent back to them. We are in a South American country where plastic surgery is extremely common. I am the only woman in my office without breast implants. I was born in America and haven't quite subscribed to this aspect of the culture, so things are a lot more lax here than I imagine they are in the US. So not only did he schedule and pay for plastic surgery on my vagina, he forged my signature on a legal document giving permission for it to be done. There is no coming back from this, and I told him so. He started crying and saying that he just wanted me to be the most beautiful I could be. Thankfully, I was too angry to cry in front of him, and I just told him to leave. He packed some clothes, and I put the rest of his belongings in a detached garage that he has a key to. I made him leave his house keys and told him that the garage locks would be changed by the end of the week. I own the house and am changing the locks on the doors this evening. Except for the garage, I'm giving him this week to clear out the rest of his things from there. I have him blocked on social media and feel very refreshed, like a weight has been lifted. I'm sure I will be hurting later and missing him, but this showed me a side of him that I absolutely cannot live with. I may not be as tan or as smooth or as busty as all the women around here, but I deserve better. I know that much. And now, my mole and I are going to settle down with a bottle of wine and download Tinder. Thank you again for everything. Tel dadaj. My boyfriend was unapologetic for arranging a surprise plastic surgery appointment that he knew I did not want, and it came to light that he had forged my signature on a waiver for this procedure. I dumped him, kicked him out of my house, and plan on living a long, happy life with my mole. Thank you all. Relevant comment. OOP's replies to a couple deleted comments. OOP. He's always chuckled at my aversion, his words not mine, to plastic surgery because it's so common here. He's asked in the past if I would ever consider a breast implants or a nose job, etc., in the exact same way that he asked if I would ever get my mole removed. I'm not morally opposed to plastic surgery. I just never really thought there was anything wrong with my boobs or my nose. So I feel like this was the tip of the iceberg. I feel like this was him pushing limits to see if he could convince me to change these other things. So I'm not feeling too great at the moment, and kind of feeling like I can't tread water with all these gorgeous women. Blah! I think it's just different cultural beauty ideals. I grew up in America, but have been in Brazil for 6 years. I go back to the upper west coast of the U.S. for about 3 weeks once a year, and I can tell that I'm a lot cuter there than I am here. If that makes sense, ha ha ha. The heavily enforced beauty ideal here is like Kim Kardashian if she were in Baywatch. My American friends, I've told this to have been outraged. My Brazilian friends just kind of laughed and said they wish that their boyfriends would pay for their procedures, lip fillers, etc. I feel like I'm in the twilight zone occasionally, which probably contributed to me doubting the validity of my initial anger. Kolzi, for what it's worth, I know a few Americans that have worked in South Korea, and the beauty standards that exist there can be a nightmare. If it helps, you should always remind yourself that, from what you've said, many of the women you compare yourself to likely didn't get there by natural means. OP. I have a friend who teaches in South Korea, and I've heard that as well. Down here it's all tanning beds, butt fillers, and rib removals. I'm petite, slender, and pale, so I get asked if I'm sick almost daily. Ha ha ha. Story 17. I, 27F, met my GF, 27F, at a funeral. Parents want us to break up. Me, 27F Kelly, 27F, dating for 3 months. My grandfather died earlier this year, a disorder he'd been battling for years, not COVID. And 3 months ago we had a socially distanced funeral and wake for him. While there I met Kelly and really hit it off with her. Kelly's grandfather had been my grandpa's best friend, and Kelly's dad and my mom had grown up as good friends until they moved away from each other and married other people. Kelly and I had never met before, and after dating for a few months, we decided to go public. We thought our parents would be thrilled. Wrong. My mom lost her shit at me, screaming that Kelly's dad was practically her brother, and I was basically dating my cousin. She also said that dating someone I met at a funeral was super inappropriate and a disgrace to my grandfather's memory. Kelly's parents have been telling her basically the same thing. Kelly and I are both really confused. My mom and her dad moved away before either of us were born, and the whole point of the wake, my family is extremely Irish, was to drink and celebrate my grandfather's memory. Is there some kind of taboo I'm breaking that I'd never heard of? I like Kelly a lot, but I'm not sure it's worth this kind of shitstorm. My family's never reacted like this to any other girl I've dated. Tealdad doctor met a girl at my grandfather's funeral. Her grandfather was mine's best friend. Both our families blew up when we started dating.
Relevant comment?
Coconut Babby, do you think there's a chance that your mom and Kelly's dad were together or had something going on? And maybe that's the reason she feels weird about it. Out of curiosity, have you had relationships before? How did your parents react to those? Is there any chance it's not so much to do with Kelly, but more to do with the fact you're gay? Whatever the reason, it is a real shame that both families are reacting like this. If you and Kelly really like each other and think the relationship is worth fighting for, you should both have an open, honest, and calm conversation with your parents and try and bring them around. Find out exactly why they feel like they do and explain how you feel too. You deserve happiness. Good luck. O.P. I guess I wouldn't be surprised if my mom and Kelly's dad had dated. They grew up in a small town, but to hear my mom tell it, Kelly's dad had always been like a brother to her. And when he joined the military after high school, they never saw each other again until the funeral. My family has never had a problem with me being gay. I came out in high school and they were very supportive. My mom knits something rainbow-colored for me every year for Christmas. Top comments. Panic at everything. It's possible someone had an affair way back when, and she might actually be your cousin. Otherwise, their reactions make no sense. Dell's Magic Fishies. Maybe I spend too much time here, but I was going to say Kelly might be OP's sister. H. Poutlandernerd. OP and her girlfriend need to get DNA tests done. Tina 8. I really hope you guys are not related, and if your families will not tell you, you might want to take a DNA test. Update August 7th, 2020. Copy of the update. I wasn't expecting so many responses, needless to say, or for so many people to say that incest is okay. No. Kelly and I discussed things, and she'd gotten similar advice elsewhere on the internet. We decided, though, that we'd first confront my mom and her dad with the threat of getting DNA tested first. We arranged to meet in a neutral place earlier today. The people who guessed that my mom and Kelly's dad used to be involved were right. They were high school sweethearts, but my mom went to college and her dad joined the military. My mom promised to wait for him and they'd get married when they had a better idea of his future. Except my mom met my dad during her first semester at college, dear John Kelly's dad, and never saw each other again until my grandfather's funeral. It's still incredibly sore between them, and they hated the idea of Kelly and I dating because it would put them into regular contact with each other. Kelly and I told them it was 30 years ago and they need to get over it, and after some wrangling, both agreed. No affairs, no incest, just a Jody and a jilting 30 years ago. Kelly and I are still dating. Teal Duttar, we're not related. Parental drama was a bad breakup 30 years ago, still dating.